Plant operator Michael Woodard is suing his former friend, 31-year-old waitress Lisa Davis, for 2 unpaid loans. Lisa says Michael gave her the money while they were having an affair.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 531 on the calendar in the matter of Woodard versus Davis.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Woodard, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were friends, and you made her a series of loans. Friendship was over. You want your money, right?
I wouldn't say the friendship was over, but
Are you still friends?
as far as I'm concerned, we're still friends.
Well, do you still see each other?
No.
When did you become friends?
I met the defendant about 2 years ago at a restaurant where I frequented.
And you worked there.
Yes, I do, ma'am.
When did she first approach you for the first loan?
Around July.
Had you seen her outside of the restaurant where she worked?
Up until that point,
Yes.
no.
So she first asked you for money when she was just somebody who took care of your order and you would talk?
Yes.
Okay. What did she ask you for money for?
Well, she asked me money originally for $500 to help catch up on some of her bills and car payment.
Did you give her the money?
Not at that time, no.
When did you give her the money?
First part of August.
Tell me about how that happened, sir. She asked you for money. She's serving you with tuna fish on toast. And she says, I need $500. Is that how it
No,
happened?
no, that was the case. We were in conversation prior to that about behind my bills. I need money to pay my car note. I need money to pay my insurance. And she asked me, and I was reluctant at first because I really didn't know her that well, and I just knew her from being a waitress. So a couple of days after that, she asked me again. I said, well, okay, here's the money, but I want you to write a promissory note, and I want you to give me a map to where you live, so when it comes time to collect on the money, I'll know where you live at.
So?
So I loaned her the money.
Did she give you the note?
Yes, she did.
Did she give you a map?
Yes, she did.
Map? Well, let me see.
That's not true, Your Honor.
No. Well, according to this napkin, sir, she said you gave her $250, not $500, right? That's what this says, $250.
Yes. I gave her $260, the IOU. What my way I looked at it and read it looked like a 6 to me, but you say it's a 5. I'll take your word for it being a 5.
Okay. Could you show this to her, please? Remember that?
Yes, ma'am. I do remember that particular napkin, but it was meant as a joke. Me and Mr. Woodard were seeing each other romantically, and when I found out he was married, that's when I terminated our relationship.
I didn't ask you about that. I asked you about this.
Yes, I do remember writing that.
Well,
But it was meant as a joke, and he knows that.
just a second. Did he give you $250?
Yes, he did.
And this
But he
says,
also-
I owe Michael Woodard $250, and it's your signature because I compared it against your answer. And it's written on a napkin, which suggests to me it was written in a restaurant.
Yes, it was. He brought it to me to my work, but he also gave me money, you know, all the time, you know, other than that.
Not getting to that. Right now we have $250 and a piece of paper that says IOU.
It was meant as a joke, and which he knows that.
IOU is not a joke. Do you remember the circumstances surrounding you writing this note?
Yes, I do remember
Well, tell
the
me.
circumstances.
Just tell me about it.
Okay, well, he had come. Me and him were seeing each other for probably a month before I ever wrote that. We were seeing each other outside of my work 3-4 times a week. He took me to dinner. He took me to baseball games. He took me to hotel rooms, to other places too. And the money, that particular money that he did give me was because I was behind my bills. But when I did write that, I mean, we were joking. It was in a joking manner. That's why I picked up the napkin and wrote it. It was meant as a joke, which he knows about. And
But
then
don't
this
think of
didn't-
what he knows. What he knows is he thought enough about this IOU to hold it
Yes.
in a baggie,
May I say something else?
right?
Checked it from the elevator.
Ma'am.
To preserve it.
Yeah,
A
I
joke you
understand.
don't preserve.
Well,
Okay, what's next? Mr.
It's
Woodard.
$100, Your Honor, that she asked to borrow sometime in mid-August to pay a water bill.
Where's the IOU?
I didn't get an IOU at that
Why
time,
not?
Your Honor. I took her word for it.
Why didn't you take her word for it?
Well, that's when she first approached me for monies,
Yes.
Your Honor.
Had she paid you back this money when you gave her? Just a minute. When she approached you for more money, she had not paid this original debt back.
No.
Did he give you $100 for your water bill?
He gave me $100, yes, but he also gave me money all the time.
I'm just talking about for the water bill.
Yes, he did.
And tell me how that came about. Did you tell him that you didn't have money for your water bill?
I didn't actually, I probably did tell him what the money was for, but he never said, well, this is a loan, here's $100, I want it back. He never said anything like that. He gave me money on a day-to-day basis.
Well, why did you take his money?
Because we were seeing each other,
So?
and because he wanted to help me. He's met my children, he's had a relationship with my children. We were not just friends, we had an intimate relationship.
But you started taking money from him right away. That's not smart.
Well, he was trying to take things from me, I feel.
Like what?
Like things that he shouldn't have been wanting from me when he was a married man.
Go ahead, Mr. Woodard. What else?
Sometime in October, Your Honor, she was trying to seek better employment, and she needed a business-type suit, a business-type garb, in order to take this interview. So at that time, I agreed to loan her the money to get this business suit.
Did you take her shopping?
Take her shopping.
Did you go
Yes.
shopping with
Yes.
her?
Yes, I
And
did.
She tried on a few things?
Yes, she did.
Did you tell her you liked one suit more than another?
Yes, I did.
Did you pick out a suit that you liked?
I thought so, yes.
Good. Pay for it. When did she tell you she didn't want to see you anymore, sir?
I don't recall ever her saying that.
Well, what made you stop seeing each other outside of work?
I didn't stop seeing her because I never began seeing her.
Well, you certainly went shopping with her, Mr. Woodard.
Well, when I say I understand that I went shopping with her, but when you say seeing, I saw her in order to do those favors for her.
Did you meet her children?
Yes, I did.
Where did you meet her children?
When I took them to go shopping, matter of fact, to go.
Was that on a different day that you took the children shopping than when you took her shopping?
I didn't take the children shopping. I took her shopping to purchase this business-type suit.
Did you ever see her children in her home?
Yes, I did.
How many times did you see her children in her home?
Once, when she asked me to come over to sprinkle some cat litter down because her brother had changed the oil in her car.
And how did she contact you?
By cell phone.
So she had your cell phone number?
Yes, she had my cell phone number along with my pager number.
Did you tell your wife that you were going over to
Yes,
put the
I
cat
did.
litter down?
Oh,
Yes, I did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Woodard says former friend Lisa Davis owes him for 2 unpaid loans. Lisa says they were having an affair and the money was a gift.
Okay, go ahead.
My wife was also a frequent customer in this restaurant, and she identified herself as being my wife
no, that's not true.
on several occasions, Your Honor. This is over
Your
like
Honor,
a
may I
2-year
say something?
period.
I live approximately 25 to 30 miles away from him, so he was just going to drive over to give me cat litter for my driveway. And also his wife, after I did find out he was married and I called his wife, she told me she thought something might be going on because he was spending a lot of money and whatnot, and that he would not be taking me to court for anything once I got a letter from him.
Miss Davis, listen to me. Did you ever confront him?
He's told me no numerous times that he was not married. If he was married, I would have never, ever seen him outside of work in any time, ever.
Sounds like you got more than a tuna fish sandwich, Mr. Woodard. But she owes you $250. She doesn't owe you money for the business suit because that wasn't a loan. That was taking her shopping.
Your Honor,
That was taking her shopping.
yes, Your Honor.
The only reason you're getting your $250 is because you clearly memorialized that in a piece of paper. And you could have memorialized all of these other little loans that you made to her with the same kind of piece of paper. That's why you got
Understand.
this piece of paper, right?
I got another piece of paper also.
That says what?
This says that, well, not that I purchased, but the receipt that I purchased.
dress, the suit?
Yes,
Then
yes,
where are
yes,
the
Your Honor.
receipts for the laundry and perfume?
I never purchased
Listen to
lingerie
me.
and perfume.
Oh, okay.
Miss Davis,
Yes, I'm sorry.
I believe that you purchased a business suit for her.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't believe it was a loan.
It was a loan, Your Honor.
I don't think so.
I understand.
$250 for your team, sir. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Those are excused. You may step out.
The plaintiff is a liar. He was a married man and lied to his wife and lied to me.
On numerous occasions, I was in it along with my wife, so she had an understanding and knew that I was a married man. Matter of fact, she spoke with my wife on more than one occasion.
And now the next case.
All parties on Perkins versus Peabody. Step forward, please.
47-year-old nurse's assistant James Perkins is suing 29-year-old waitress Angela Peabody for damage to his car. James says while attempting to exit a parking lot, Angela backed into his vehicle and then took off.
According to your complaint, the defendant hit your car and took off.
Yes.
And in addition, you claim that after you reported the matter to the police, your car was vandalized and you believe that the defendant is responsible.
Yes.
Tell me when this happened.
December 27th.
Where?
Around in the Price shop in Troy, New York. And I went in the parking lot when I seen her make a broken U-turn.
Make a broken U-turn.
Well, U-turn, like. I figured she made a complete turn, and when she was getting ready to leave, I pursued straight ahead. And then something told me, look on the side of me, and bang! And that's it. And I had 6 children in the car.
So she was making a U-turn.
Yes.
You weren't waiting for her to get out of the way.
Yes, I did.
Well, you didn't because she backed up. And when
Right.
she backed up to complete her U-turn, she hit your car.
Yes.
What did you do next?
Then I stepped out the car because I figured maybe she was stopped and wanted to see the damages, what happened, and I just wanted to speak to her. And when I step out the car, she's gone. She took off. So I figured, well, she can't get too far because when you're going out in the parking lot, you got to stop because this traffic runs. So I said, I'm going to catch her. So I ran after her, and something said, just keep going straight. You'll find her because there's a lot of
You
stuff.
found her. Get
Yes.
to the point. You found her.
Question. I found her.
Okay.
And I called the police on my cellular phone because I wasn't going to go to her house. And when the cops came, then we went to her house and knocked on the door, and she let little dogs jump us. Well, anyway,
Oh my
we
dear
talked.
gosh.
Well, the police talked to her, and I went back to my van because I parked across the street from her.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it, please? And do you have any photographs of the car?
Yes, I do.
The officer writes she did not care about her one, if it was damaged or not, so she just drove away without reporting the accident.
It's because I tapped him. That's why I drove away. If I would have hit the man hard, I would have stopped.
You tell me what happened.
I was in Price Chopper. I ran in for a brief moment. I was parked in the fire lane. When I came out, there was a lot of people.
You're not allowed to park in the
No,
fire lane.
we're not allowed to park in the fire lane. but-
Right.
Exactly. You're not allowed. So I pulled up a little bit, and I went to go back up a little bit. I believe he came beside me. I don't know because I didn't see him. I backed up. I tapped somebody. I knew that I tapped somebody, and I didn't think there was any damage done, so I drove away. I drove right home.
Even if you tap it with the back of your car, then you stop for a moment and you get out of the car. Or you stop just to check.
Well, I just figured it was a tap, so I just drove away.
that's what you wrote here.
If I bumped him hard, hit him hard, I definitely wouldn't have got out because when it's my fault, it's my fault.
Well, this was your fault. He didn't go to all this difficulty because he felt like picking on you that day.
No, but I know that I didn't knock his bumper off. I know for a fact.
You don't know for a fact, and you would have known for a fact, madam, if you had gotten out of the car and looked. You didn't do that. You're liable. Period. Did you report it to your insurance?
My father probably did. It's under my dad's name, so.
So the answer is you don't know.
Question, Your Honor.
What?
When I went to my insurance company, they said that she didn't have insurance.
Really?
Yes.
My dad takes care of all that, so I
And-
believe I have car insurance.
Do you have a policy to show me today?
No.
Let me see the estimates on the car, please. What makes you think that she vandalized your car?
Well, I felt that when my insurance called me and told me she didn't have no insurance on her car, I was upset. So I was going to go to her house, but some said no because it was a broken door. So anyway.
Broken. You never even knocked on my door. My door never attacked you. You're
Do me a favor.
lying.
Do me
Well-
a favor.
Yes.
Say nothing to him.
Anyway, so I said, well, if she's going to drive this car around without insurance, I'm going to call the cops. Next week after that, car insurance cards take it out of my car, throw it out. Why take insurance cards out of the car than stealing stuff in a van? Don't make no sense. Broke a mirror, which somebody gonna rob your car, they're gonna rob your car, not break
So
a
other
mirror.
than the fact that you think she had a reason to
reason
vandalize your car,
Well, the
you don't
reason
have any
because I
proof.
told... Oh, sorry.
You don't have any proof that she actually did it.
No, I don't.
There are things here that have nothing to do with the bumper.
Right.
I just want to know what the cost of the bumper is.
Can I speak and say why he's doing that?
Yes.
We have already been to small claims court in front of a mediator. He said he has a very good friend that does estimates for him. So he's just trying to get me for everything that's wrong with his van. I don't even know this man from anybody. I would never put my dogs on. I did nothing, anything.
But I'm not.
No, I
you
know
did.
you're not, but this is what he's trying to
Oh,
do.
no, but he's not going to do that here. That's why I'm looking at it very carefully. There are some things here that have absolutely nothing to do with the bumper.
There's a bumper in there too, Your Honor.
This is not the great American giveaway. Just give me the figure for the bumper.
The figure for the bumper is $837.49.
Your expensive bumper.
Takes 7 hours to paint a bumper?
That's because his friend's doing it, and he pocketed the insurance money already.
Yeah,
Not-
absolutely.
That's what he told me
Absolutely
in
not.
the small claims court. He
Abso-
pocketed $300.
This is not my
Did-
friend. This
just-
is a body shop
Just a
that...
second. Did you get any money from your insurance?
Yes, I did.
How much did you get from your insurance?
They take a $500 deductible, and I got
He already said he banked it in mediator court.
$337.
So the difference is $500.
Yes.
Well, that's different. You were suing her for $2,000. Then you give me a bill for $2,100. Your out-of-pocket expense is going to be $500.
Yes.
That's much better. Now, I believe that Miss Peabody made a mistake in not stopping.
Yes.
But the way that you've described this accident to me, you have some responsibility. Because from what I gather, she's parked where she shouldn't be parked in a fire lane.
Yes.
She gets into her car and she starts to make what you think is a U-turn. Now, you could have waited for her to make the complete turn, right?
I did wait for her.
No, you didn't. You only let her make a partial turn. And then you figured you would scoot by, and if she had to back up again in order to complete the turn, you'd be gone.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Well, then you just should have waited for her.
I did wait for her.
You didn't wait for her.
That's what I
Mr.
did.
Perkins, how could you have, if you waited for her, she wouldn't have hit your car. You didn't wait. You didn't wait. If you had waited, sir,
Yes.
then she wouldn't have hit your car. So I think that you're a little bit responsible. I certainly hope you're going to get your bumper fixed.
Oh, definitely.
Good. You may have to put in $100 yourself.
That's okay.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old cashier Gloria Pacheco is suing her brother, 23-year-old sign installer Mike Pacheco, for the cost of their father's bail and legal fees.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 536 on the calendar in the matter of Pacheco versus Pacheco. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
All right, there's a rather complicated fact pattern in this case, so let me see if I understand it. The defendant is your brother.
Yes.
About 2 years ago, your brother had just been released from jail and came to live in your father's home.
Yes.
This is your father?
Yes, it is.
Within a day or so after his release, a probation officer came to the house to check up on him, and the probation officer came unannounced.
Yes.
And that was a condition of your probation.
Yes.
What had you been in jail for?
Possession of methamphetamines?
Drugs.
Yes.
And when the probation officer arrived, the probation officer found your father smoking marijuana.
Yes, in his room, Your Honor.
And he was smoking marijuana because he was ill.
Yes.
And I understand he has now a card that indicates that he can use cannabis for medicinal purposes. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have that card, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
At the time, he did not have that card.
No, ma'am.
So he was taken to jail.
Yes.
There were certain expenses surrounding his incarceration. You had to bail him out.
Yes.
You had to hire a lawyer.
Yes.
And you say that your brother agreed to repay you for these
Yes.
costs because, but for the fact that he was in the house, you felt as if he was responsible. The probation officer wouldn't have been there, your father wouldn't have been arrested, and You felt as if it was his fault.
Yes.
Would you step up, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
What's the nature of your illness, sir?
I have spinal stenosis, I have gout, I have arthritis, I have rheumatism.
How long did you spend in jail?
12 hours, something like that.
Before your daughter bailed you out?
Yes.
And how much did it cost to bail him out?
The bail was set at $8,000, so we had to put $800 down.
And you hired a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was the lawyer?
The lawyer was $2,500.
You have receipts for those two things?
Yes, I do. This is the bail receipt. And this is the attorney receipts. He sent the receipts on the letters. He sent letters showing me the balance and the balance due.
What was the ultimate sentence, Mr. Pacheco?
They charged me a $300 fine.
You can sit down. Are you uncomfortable standing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have a seat. Now, Mr. Pacheco, can you tell me about the conversation you had with your brother with regard to this money?
Yeah, at the time when the police they came into the house and they wanted to know where my brother's stuff was. I showed him in the corner because that was my father and my brother's agreement that his stuff was to stay in the corner. That way, if in case anything was to happen, because he told my dad about the search clause, that his stuff was in the corner and nowhere else in the house. He wasn't home at the time.
Who wasn't home at the time? Your brother?
Yeah, right, correct. My two young sisters were there at the time and very upset that my father had been taken to jail. Me and my brother here walked my sisters to McDonald's to get them something to eat. On the way to McDonald's, we met up with my brother who was coming home. At that time, I told him that our father had been arrested, and he felt bad about it. And he told me, well, all I have right now is $100. Do you know how much the bail is? I said the officers didn't tell me what the bail was set at or anything. He called up and he found out that the bail was set at $8,000, and he asked me if I had any money. I did have money. I was reluctant to loan him the money because he had just gotten out of jail and I knew he didn't have any funds at the time. I did at that time tell him I would loan him the money, and he told me he would pay me back because he felt bad that he had put his father in that situation.
But he did say, I'll pay you back.
Yes, he did, and he also said that he would pay back any fines, and also if there was any lawyer or attorney fees, he would pay that. And
did he say that to you?
Yes. My brother, David, was there at that time when we had the conversation.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Well, what had happened was, I had just been recently incarcerated. I got out, I spoke to my father, I explained to him. I didn't explain to him about the search clause at first. I explained to him that I had nowhere to go, I didn't have nothing to do, I needed to stay at his place for a while. To move my stuff in, like she said, I had one particular area, and at that time I told him, that's when he told me to put it in one area, because I told him about the search clause.
This was after you moved in?
This was, yeah, right after I moved in. And he said, okay, well, rather than just putting me out, he says, well, leave all your stuff here. If anything happens, your probation officer wants to come, this is your area, they can search your stuff. He knew I wasn't doing drugs or nothing. I knew what he did, but he did it in his own room because he was sick, and a long time his doctor told him, you know, that if it helps him, go ahead and smoke it, but he couldn't, you know, prescribe it due to, you know, fear of being incarcerated himself, the doctor. So then when the police came in, I wasn't there. They came in, to my understanding, they didn't even search any of my stuff. They just smelled marijuana in the house. They went to his room with unannounced, and then they seen him smoking the marijuana. So they took him to jail. I was coming back home. My sister told me, Pop's in jail, what happened? Your probation officer come, they searched. So I was real worried about it. I was like, well, how much is going to get out? We'll find out. So we found out his bail. I had $100 in my pocket. I was thinking, where can I get the money? And Gloria says, oh, I got the $700. So I said, yeah, well, you do? I said, okay, well, let's go bail him out. And as far as all the payments of the lawyers and the court costs and all that, I never agreed to pay none of that. I thought about it, so, well, he got 8 kids, everybody. I didn't put him in there smoking the weed. I didn't have him in there smoking because they came search for me. They didn't find nothing on me. They didn't find nothing in my area.
Other than the fact that you agreed to pay her back, you would have no legal obligation to pay for your father, even though the probation officer was there looking for you. And but for the fact that you were living in your father's house, your father, in all probability, would not have been arrested, at least on that day.
Yes.
That doesn't make you legally responsible unless you agreed to pay her back.
I didn't agree to pay no lawyer fees or...
Step up. Tell me your name.
David Pacheco?
You were with your sister when you found your brother?
Yes.
Tell me about the conversation as you remember it.
My sister, when we approached my brother, like she said, she explained to my brother, you know, about how the police came and how they took him to jail and stuff like that. And you know, he couldn't stress enough how bad he felt of, you know, it was his fault that my father had ended up in jail that day. He said it more than once that, you know, I will pay you back anything, you know, whatever fines come up, anything, I will pay you back as soon as I can.
When did you decide, sir, that since there were 8 children, it should be spread around?
When I couldn't pay the bill, when I couldn't pay nothing, and I didn't agree to pay
No, I
just
want to know. You didn't say to your sister at the time, well, there are 8 children, so we'll spread this around.
No, I didn't, because at the time I was just worried about getting my father out of jail.
Right.
As far as the bail, I may be responsible for the bail because if he was incarcerated because of me, but that don't make me got to pay. Why I got to pay the plant fees? He got his plants took, his weed took, his you know, put in jail. I didn't put him there. I didn't tell him to smoke no weed. I know it helps him, but you know, I didn't know they was coming to raid him.
Mr. Pacheco, I don't think you listened to what I said before. I said, if it weren't for the fact that I believe that you told your sister at the time that you would pay her back this money, you would not have a legal obligation to do it because it's not your fault that your father was smoking marijuana, even as he claims, for medicinal purposes. But I can imagine how badly you felt at that moment when you found out that your father had been taken to jail.
Yes, of course.
That you felt terrible, and you said, let's do whatever we can to get him out, and I'll take care of the bills, but I don't have the money now. I mean, that sounds logical to me.
Well,
later on, perhaps.
We didn't even discussed anything about the lawyer fees or anything till after that day anyway. Now, when I told my father, you know, let me know what's happening and I'll do whatever I could do, but I didn't say I will pay it, and then when he starts coming at me with $2,500 for a lawyer, you know, I'd have got a public pretender.
Public pretender. I never heard them referred to as a public pretender.
I've seen some of them work. Some of them are pretenders.
That's what I say, too. But see, you get that from the state. I mean, you know, why I'm a...
Public
I wouldn't
pretender.
get no
That's a new one.
$2,500 on a lawyer.
Send that one to the Bar Association. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I ain't tell him go get no lawyer or tell him to, you know, go hire this high-priced lawyer and get all these fines. I never agreed to none of that.
Sometimes family, they might say something at the time and not mean it, but you just have to pursue it.
And now the next case.
All parties on Clay versus Markham. Step forward, please.
50-year-old respiratory therapist James Clay is suing 30-year-old former teacher's aide Don Markham. James says during his family stay at a hotel, Don injured his daughter in the pool.
Mr. Clay, I understand that you were at a motel with one of your daughters.
2 of my daughters, yes, ma'am.
And it was a nice day, and you and your daughters were in the swimming pool.
My 2 daughters were in the pool, and my wife was supervising them.
And at the same time, the defendant was in the swimming pool.
Yes, ma'am.
You were there with a group of people?
Yes, I was there with a school group. I was a room chaperone.
You were the chaperone?
Room chaperone, just for the evenings in the room.
According to your complaint, Mr. Clay, the defendant injured your 11-year-old daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you present when that happened?
I was not present.
Who is a witness to what happened?
My wife.
Could you step up, please? Mrs. Clay, tell me what you observed.
Well, Mr. Markham was in the pool. He was in the middle of this group. He was picking people up and throwing them. He'd throw one this way and one that way, and, you know, just every direction. And some of the other mothers and I were looking at each other like, this isn't right. He's going to hurt somebody. This is an accident that's going to happen. And it did.
Well, tell me what happened.
Well, he picked up a young man, threw him. My daughter was close to the...
How did he throw him?
Like that, through the water. You know, hurling and then down on my daughter's left shoulder. Pushed her under the water, and she came back up, and her shoulder was obviously hurt.
Well, what did Mr. Markham do?
Well, I looked right over at him, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything.
Did you take your daughter for any treatment?
We went back to the room, got dressed, and and subsequently went to the hospital, the ER.
Do you have any papers from the emergency room?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Laura, would you like to step up with your mom and dad?
Sure.
Tell me what happened when this person fell on you.
Well, me and my little sister were jumping off the edge of the pool, and I was reaching towards the ladder, and I turned around and I was looking at her, and that's when the gentleman fell on top of me.
What did he say to you? Do you remember?
Yeah, he was touching my shoulder. He kept on asking if I was okay. I contacted back to my mom. I was screaming and crying.
Okay, what was the total amount, Mr. Clay, of the family's unreimbursed medical bills?
$424.10, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Markham, I'll hear you.
Well, I was at the pool, and with what she said, I wasn't throwing people here and there. It was only the second time I had thrown the boy, and I saw where he had landed before, so I went under the water so he could get his foot here and a foot on his shoulder. So when I came up out of the water, after he tapped me, he went back. Well, I didn't know he had landed on the girl until I had turned around.
Were you standing in the pool, sir?
Yes.
Didn't you think that maybe if you threw him over your shoulder, he could have landed on his head in the pool if your feet touched the bottom of the pool?
Well, the water was up to here. I was
Right, but you're throwing somebody up. You're thrusting them up, which means they can go over on their head,
Yes.
down to the bottom of the pool, snap their neck. Didn't that ever occur to you?
No, ma'am, because I was the area that I was throwing him into.
Launched is a good word.
Well, the area that he was going into was deeper than the area I was standing.
How much deeper, sir?
I'd say a good foot, but I figured if somebody wasn't diving head first or anything like that, if somebody was just dropping into water, you know, he had asked me to do it, so I was having fun and enjoying myself with the kids, having a good time, so I did.
Well, that was pretty stupid, wasn't it?
Looking back at it now, yes, but...
Well, why didn't you follow through with these people with regard to seeing whether she was injured?
Well, after the boy had landed on her and I saw that she was injured, I did go over to her, asked her if she needed help. I told her, you know, I'm sorry about this happening. And I stood there. I was going to help her up out of the pool, and she told me, no, no, don't touch me, don't touch me. So I backed up out of the pool and just kept an eye on her until her mother came over to her. And then I watched them go out of the pool. And that was the last time I heard anything until, you know, the girl from the front desk came over to me to get my name and address to fill out the accident report. And then I didn't hear from him again until September 15th is when I got a certified letter from him. He gave me 4 days to actually get a hold of him, and he was asking for $914 at the time. He gave me 4 days to reply to him, or he said he was going to sue me in the letter. And I sent him out this copy of this letter, asking for certain information just so I can see and what and all has been done and what and all I needed to verify what was going on.
Let me see the envelope, please. This time.
This is the envelope for the first time.
Mr. Markham, well, you talk here in terms, sir, of your level of responsibility, but what do you mean, my level of responsibility?
I know as myself, I have a deductible amount, but I never heard of a deductible amount being so high, so I thought,
Okay, so
well,
you're talking about the level of your financial responsibility.
Yes.
Not that you don't bear responsibility for the actions that you caused.
Right. You know, even though, you know, like I said, it was an accident, but I was willing to work with the gentleman.
No, that wasn't an accident. That wasn't an accident. An accident happens when sometimes there are unforeseen circumstances. I don't view this as an accident. You are a mature adult. You, by your actions, dealing with the kids that you were supposed to supervise, caused her injury. So there's no question about your responsibility. The only question is how much. Now we know that just the money part of your responsibility is $424.10 with regard to out-of-pocket expenses by the plaintiff. Is that what you believe is your level of responsibility?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the discomfort and the pain and suffering suffered by the victim? Don't you bear any responsibility for that?
Well, I feel for her circumstances, and I don't know if there is a amount you could put on.
That's what courts do. Courts put on an amount.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing that summer? Were you still in school on June 11th?
No, actually, I went on a camping trip with my dad and my little sister.
Right afterwards?
No, we had to wait at least for the rest of the month
For the camping trip, my husband said that she couldn't really hold a backpack so they could go, you know, really hiking for a long time or anything like that. So.
It was a trip that we had planned all year, just me and my 2 daughters going out west. And it ruled her out of soccer for the fall. She wasn't able to play.
You mean in September you still had residual effect of the shoulder injury?
I had, I couldn't move my shoulder for a very far distance for about 3 months afterwards.
Mr. Markham, that's what courts mean by pain and suffering. Plaintiff is suing you, Mr. Markham, for $3,000. He's suing you, I assume. The other $2,500 is for pain and suffering on behalf of his daughter for the discomfort that she endured as a result of your actions. He is absolutely entitled to that judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Marianne Murphy is suing her ex-son-in-law, 29-year-old social worker Richard Hart, for an unpaid loan. Richard says Marianne gave him the money to help win custody of her grandson.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 264 on the calendar in the matter of Murphy versus Hart.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Murphy, the defendant is your former son-in-law.
Yes, he is.
When did you make the first loan to your son-in-law?
In the early part of 1997. It was a personal loan. It was for $2,700.
For what?
He expressed that he was having some financial difficulties, housing and supporting my grandson. He repaid me $1,000 of that because he got his income tax return.
Okay. What else?
In 1998, my girlfriend went to an auction. Richard needed a sofa. The sofa was $242. I advanced him a personal loan of $300.
For what?
I don't know. He just asked me to lend him the money. We went to Vegas, and I lent him $100.
For what?
To gamble with.
How come you kept lending him this money? He wasn't paying you back regularly, so why would you lend him money to gamble?
Because he looked so dejected when we were in Vegas, so I just felt sorry for him.
Well, you felt sorry for him. Did you give him the $100, or did he say to you, could I please have $100 and I'll pay you back?
I offered to lend. I asked him, did he want a loan? And I said, you would have to pay it back. And he said yes.
No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Go ahead. What's next?
Then this time I had put him on a payment plan of $100. He made payments from August to December in $100 increments that came to $500. In April, he came in my house. He gave me $150 and told me that he had other kids and that he had quit his 2 jobs because he was being sued for child support and that he could no longer pay me.
Richard.
Yes, ma'am.
Got a couple of questions to ask you, sir.
Okay.
It appears from your answer that there was a period of time when you had full custody of your son?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
From 97 to 99 of September.
1997 to September of 99?
Yes, ma'am. And I can recall the date in January of 97 due to the fact that she called me at work saying that if you feel if I'm a better parent, we'll come pick my son up. So
the court papers can be subpoenaed that says that Richard has custody of Ryan from Thursday to Sunday and my daughter had him the rest of the time.
You have those papers?
According to Marianne, she knows definitely for a fact that I had my son from 97 to 99.
Put your hand down.
I also know that he was
Put your hand down. When I need you, I'll call you.
It's like this. When her daughter found a boyfriend, she wasn't going to be my son's mother anymore. She knows that for a fact.
I think that that's probably true. I think that Miss Murphy knew that there was a period of time when your son really needed you to be either a full-time custodian or there a good deal of the time. Isn't that right, Miss Murphy?
He was a very good father, and I give him, my hat goes off to him.
Right. Now, what I assume happened at some point, you met your new wife. Are you married now?
No, a fiancé.
You have a girl. You have a fiancé.
Yes, ma'am.
With whom you have children.
Yes, I have 2 boys, yes.
With your fiancé.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're not quite ready to make a commitment to get married? Is
Right
that the
now, we're
idea?
trying to
Just the children are okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have a fiancé and you have 2 little children and things get kind of busy. Your son is with his mother more often than he's with you. She's taking you now to court for child support. You haven't paid child support in a while.
I'm not working at all, so therefore certain people have told me that I don't have to pay child support if I don't have it. I'm only collecting disability.
What is the nature of your disability?
Right now,
you can't even say it with a straight face. Try saying it with a straight face, how you're disabled. Try telling me how somebody who's how tall? 6 foot tall?
6 foot tall.
Standing in front of me. What?
I'm a donor patient for my brother who has a kidney disease, so I have high blood pressure. So right now, I'm basically just relaxing, trying to keep my blood pressure down.
Everybody who has high blood pressure stops working. Half the country would be unemployed.
Well, at this time, I can't give a kidney if I have high blood pressure.
How long have you been preparing yourself to be a donor?
I've been preparing myself for the past month and a half.
And how long have you been unemployed?
Since April. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say after June.
Were you paying any child support before June?
The last time I made child support payment was $300, $360 for whatever reason they needed.
When?
June of 2000.
Somebody's got such high blood pressure shouldn't strain themselves and have all these children.
Oh, it ain't about the children, ma'am. It's about the people around me.
Children create. Listen to me. No.
I'll be all
Mr.
right.
Hart, making babies makes your heart go faster, right?
Yeah. It does.
Maybe you should stop straining yourself. Mr. Hart, look, you were making payments to Miss Murphy over a long period of time.
I was helping her out due to the fact she helped me out.
Just a second. You were making payments to her in the amount of $100 a month.
No.
You're in between a rock and a hard place, sir. If you say you weren't making payments to her, you're not going to get credit for any of those payments.
Well, I would say it wasn't a month. I was giving her whatever I had due to the fact she helped me out when I had my son.
You mean she's lying about that?
Oh, it's a lot of things she was lying about.
Yes, I'll hear you.
I have no reason to stand up here and lie. I have a detailed journal of everything, all the accounting on this.
Let me take a look at it. Just a second.
I extracted this information from the tape. But more importantly, my daughter owes me money, and I have the same tape on her.
Your Honor, she failed to realize until with the $2,700 she gave me for the circumstances why the $2,700 was given.
Tell me about it.
I didn't ask for the $2,700. I picked my son up from school one day, and he had a lot of bruises on his buttocks and his legs. And I didn't know what to do. So therefore, I took him over to Miss Murphy, and she told me, well, this is what you need to do.
Would you please just explain to me what the $2,700 was for?
It was for the attorney fees.
Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. He has conjured up lies and had other people call my daughter's house, leaving threatening messages, and have alluded to me giving him money. When I lent him the money, I had no idea what it was for. I didn't ask. My concern is that you pay it back to me.
Your Honor, why was the attorney fees $2,700? Why did she exactly give me $2,700?
Let me see the bill for $2,700 from the attorney.
I don't have everything, but this is...
I just tell you, I don't need everything. The base, most of this money that she claims that you owe is, according to you, the attorney's fees.
Yes, ma'am.
This says balance as of 10/13, $1,034.
Let me find this other letter, ma'am, so I can show you that they gave me actually back. After the case is over, they gave me $700 back, but I don't have that form with me at this time.
I want to see where the original bill was for $2,700, the retainer.
No, they asked for a retaining fee of $2,700.
Show me.
Okay, ma'am, okay, relax. I don't have that at this time, Your Honor. I had a letter showing that this is what they gave me back. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
At the time that this happened back in 1997, you saw bruises on the child's body. I
Yes,
assume
ma'am.
that you were infuriated. Is that right?
I made a police report. A DCFS came out of the house, did an investigation on me. They also did an investigation on the school.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
You needed money for an attorney. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't have the money right then and there to
I
give
didn't
to the
have all
lawyer.
of it, no, ma'am.
Great. And there is nothing that you can show me where you paid this lawyer a retainer of $2,700.
Not at this time. You can see
Right,
that
because
list
all
right
this
there.
other stuff you gave me says nothing about $2,700.
Well, if I had it, I would sure give it to you.
Because what it shows is that there are different amounts that you paid off different amounts at different times, not $2,700 at one fell swoop.
Oh, actually, it should, I don't. I wish I had.
Actually.
I don't have that. No.
Of course you don't have it because, sir, let me explain something
Because I
to
wasn't
you.
prepared to bring that information in court, sir. But
Well,
if we...
Mr. Hart, I don't know why you weren't prepared to do that, sir, because that is your answer, that you used this $2,700 for an attorney. So it would seem to me, with all the other paperwork that you brought, you would have brought that one document showing you took the $2,700 from the plaintiff and you paid the attorney with it. That's the one document that I would have.
Yeah, that's one document I wish I had.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,538. And let me tell you what I'm taking off.
Okay.
Taking off the $100 you were foolish enough to give him to gamble. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excused. You may step out.
stabbed me in the back like she stabbed her daughter in the
And
back.
it wasn't even about the money, that he didn't owe her any money. It was about me having harassment suit from her daughter and her so that he would not be able to see his son.
Justice prevailed. It just isn't paid a lot.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bose versus Fritz. Step forward, please.
33-year-old business owner Nicholas Bose is suing his ex-girlfriend, 36-year-old bartender Karen Rose Fritz, for an unpaid truck loan and rent. Karen is countersuing for damaged clothes and jewelry.
Mr. Bose, according to your complaint, you and the defendant dated for a while. You made a loan to her of about $400 for a car.
Yes.
The relationship terminated. You claim she not only owes you the money for the car, but owes you for a month's rent.
Right.
She says that the money for the car was not a loan but a gift, and that you had thrown her out of the apartment, and therefore there was no reason for her to pay rent in an apartment where she was not living.
Correct.
She has, however, a counterclaim. She indicates that you vandalized some of her property and retained some of her property. Tell me about the circumstances surrounding this loan for her car.
My friend here had a van for sale and she wanted it, so I told her I would lend her the money, and when she got her taxes back, she was supposed to pay me back.
Was that the arrangement?
Yes.
So, Ms. Fritz, you tell me your version of the conversation surrounding this $400 for the van.
I was waiting for my paycheck to come, and I told him I would pay for it. But he said as long as he had the money, he would pay for it for me.
You think that he said that as long as he had the money, he perceived that you were going to have a long-term future together?
Yeah.
So don't you think it's right that you return this $400 to him since you were going to pay for it anyway?
I don't feel I should have to.
Okay. Now tell me about the rent on the apartment.
She was supposed to be paying $300 a month. I have a copy of the lease here, and in regards to the van, Karen filed a restraining order on me. Here's the lease. Sir?
He wants to.
If you look under tab 4, her testimony in court, she says, I do not deny owing him the $400.
You did say that.
Correct. I don't deny owing him the money, but when I went over to...
Well, you denied it today. What is this month's rent you're suing her for?
Karen, in November, almost died from drinking. April 1st, I went to the bar. She was drinking, and she got mad at me because I gave Don another $60 that we owed him on the van. She started yelling at me, screaming at me. She just lost control. And then she went and spent the night at her ex-boyfriend's house. I did not kick her out. She chose to go live with this other guy.
Had you moved into this apartment together, sir?
No.
You're going to continue to pay the rent and live there because you want to stay there?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me hear about your counterclaim.
I went to pick up some clothing, and he said that he threw outside. And on there was a note that said, it was my old marriage license. It was a bad word that we don't want to say. And then I looked at the clothing when I got back to the house, and it was either bleached or it was cut up, and then there was jewelry that was ran over.
Did you?
Ma'am?
Yes.
No, ma'am, I did not. If you look on tab 6, in her testimony, she says Lakewood police came with her, and they saw that the clothes were torn up but did not make a report. They didn't make a report because it didn't happen. Her clothes were fine.
You have the clothes with you?
Yes, I do.
Let me see them.
They were fine when I set them out there.
No, I'm sorry.
That's why Lakewood police did not make a report over it.
What's this jewelry box that you have here?
He had pulled into the parking lot where I work and proceeded to get out, and then he backed up and left. That was the remainder of what was left in the parking lot after he had left.
That's untrue, Your Honor. She had Lakewood police come question me that day, and she told them I was on videotape in the parking lot, and I was not on it when they went and reviewed the tape.
You know about that?
It's a revolving tape. It doesn't actually...
Whatever. Was he on the tape?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Take these old clothes.
This is what was on the clothing when he left.
I did not write that on there, Your Honor.
Whatever. Even if you did, that clothing that's in that box is not worth very much. Certainly not worth the $1,000 that you're suing for.
Yeah.
Trust me. Do you claim that he also has jewelry that belongs to you?
Yes, I do.
What jewelry?
It was a teardrop earring that he will not give me back because of this suit that we have going on.
The only thing I have of hers is a VCR and some dishes that I kept until she paid me the money.
What about this piece of jewelry? Where did you leave that?
That was left in a jewelry box, along with 2 rings that I just bought.
Well, how did you get your clothes? Basic clothes.
That's it.
You never got any other clothes that were there? I mean, that's all the clothes
No,
that you...
that's all I have. He's got the rest of his house.
Is this the only thing that you put on the porch, this little box?
No.
It's not?
No.
You must have had lots of clothes. You have
Right.
coats, you have jackets.
Right.
Right?
I put everything.
Well, where's the rest of that stuff?
All I got, this is a basket. That is all I got.
I put all of her clothes on the porch. I put her son's clothes on the porch.
No, you didn't.
A few things.
Just
of her...
a minute. Miss Fritz, I cannot believe that you did not get back son's clothes, son's things, underwear. I don't believe that. I don't believe it for a minute.
Can I say something?
Sure. Who are you?
Don Thomas. I'm the one who sold him the minivan.
Yes.
There's also a $240 balance on the minivan that I've never received.
Sure.
I was hoping the rings were worth more than $240. That way I could get my money.
Why?
Maybe she could
Where are
give
the
me
rings?
her rings.
Where are the rings?
I don't know. Maybe she could give them to me so I can get the rest of my money for my minivan.
This is not one-stop shopping. If you feel as if she still owes you money for a van, you have to go to court, as he did, and file a complaint. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Your rent, you'll take care of. But you are owed $460. As far as your counterclaim is concerned, I do not believe that those items were the only items you retrieved from the plaintiff's home.
I have a copy of the police report that was written from that day that was here.
Sure, I'll take a look at it.
And I had 2 witnesses to verify that that's all that I had.
So where are they?
The kids.
Where are they?
They
Where are your
couldn't come
witnesses?
today. So I brought the one that saw the jewelry being run over in the parking lot.
Well, you reported this to the police a week and a half after you allegedly picked up your clothes. Your current boyfriend said somebody threw a paintball at his car and he saw a red convertible. And you told the police that some time ago you found that some of the articles had been cut up. So you did not report this to the police at the time you allegedly found it. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. If somebody cut up all my clothes, did not return my clothes, I would have been on the phone that day. We understand each other?
Yes.
Good. Now, step up. You want to tell me about what you saw about jewelry?
I saw a red convertible pull into the parking lot. It stopped, backed up, pulled forward again, pulled out of the lot, and went west.
Mm-hmm.
About 10 minutes later, a patron came into the bar, said, I found this jewelry. I went out to the parking lot and spent approximately 2 hours picking up jewelry that was scattered across the parking lot.
Did you ever drop jewelry off at the parking lot?
No, ma'am.
What kind of car do you
That's
drive?
a red convertible.
Uh-huh.
But everybody's seen it up there. If I was doing that, ma'am, I would be on the videotape.
Maybe there's a good reason that you both have restraining orders. This jewelry here isn't worth $1,000.
Well,
I let my
it's
grandchildren
sentimental
play.
value,
I
Your
let my grandchildren play with this stuff. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $460. Ms. Fritz, I do not believe that you have any other items in his house other than your VCR and your dishes, neither of which you're suing for. Do you want them?
Yes, I do.
Good. Within 5 days, you'll make an arrangement to go and pick up with a police officer VCR and your dishes. The dishes are to be in one piece, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
VCR, too. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
6-year-old student Eileen Valerio is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 25-year-old sales rep Roger Hall, for his portion of an apartment lease and other bills. Roger is countersuing for the return of his belongings and for a permanent scar on his face.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 521 on the calendar in the matter of Valerio versus Hall.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Valerio, at a time when you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend, you decided to live together. You took a lease on an apartment, according to you, for a year. There was a problem with that living arrangement. The defendant was taken into custody for some act of domestic violence. You ultimately had a restraining order against him. Is that right?
That's true.
And what you want is for him to pay the remainder of the lease when he was no longer living in the apartment after the restraining order, and some other nonsensy stuff. But mostly it's the money for the lease. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you move in?
September of 2000.
And how long did you actually live together?
Till December 9th of 2000.
Was it on the 9th of December that he was taken into custody?
Yes.
Who called the police?
Actually, he called the police first and hung up on them, and I called the police from a neighbor's house.
So you called the police first?
I did, yes.
Were those charges ultimately dropped?
Yes, they were.
Did you consent to a protective order, or was there a trial?
No, it was just dropped. Everything was just dropped.
Not the restraining order was not dropped.
Exactly.
That's what I asked you, sir. She has a restraining order against you. Did you consent to that restraining order, or was there a trial with regard to her?
There's no trial. I consent to it.
So as part of the restraining order, you knew that you would not be able to live in the house?
Correct.
And that's what you wanted?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you pay rent in December?
I had given her cash in December.
Did he pay rent for December?
He gave me $265, which was half of all the utilities from December and January.
Did he pay rent in November?
Yes.
Why do you think he should be responsible for the remainder of the lease?
He signed a lease for a year. It's not my fault that he got kicked out. It's not my fault that he made a mistake and can no longer live there. In order to get out of the lease, he has to pay a month in advance plus a half a month, but that entails me moving. I don't think I should have to move and pack up my stuff just because he can no longer live there.
Well, Ms. Valerio, according to Mr. Hall, he offered to pay the month and a half's rent to move out, but you would not have accepted that anyway.
That was never brought to my attention. He's been talking to the leasing agents, and they told him that they wouldn't allow it.
No, I thought that that was permitted in your lease.
Well, it is, but they're not allowing it because I have to move out, and they don't feel that I should have to move out, and neither do they.
You're not going to get your money. This was an error in judgment on both of your parts to move in together. It lasted a relatively short period of time. He is precluded from living in your home. He consented to a protective order. If you have the ability to minimize your losses, even though that involves you moving, you can't expect him to support you. You're not married to each other. And certainly he should have paid December's rent because you were living there up till December 9th. Is that right?
Yes, as I was, which I did.
You have proof that you paid December's
No,
rent?
unfortunately, I did not ask her for a receipt.
Did you always pay her in cash?
No, just the last 2 months because I had a restraining order against me, so...
I'm not talking... When did you have a restraining order?
The whole time we lived there, he never paid rent. I paid rent. He didn't even have a job half the time he lived there.
I have receipts.
Well, show me your receipts.
Deposit, first month's rent.
He paid a security deposit of $100. I paid for groceries. I paid for food.
I'm not talking groceries and food. We're talking now rent.
I'm talking all bills.
No,
I have the receipts for everything.
I'm talking rent.
I have the receipts for everything.
Every Valerio, shh, I want you to listen to me. I've said this before. I don't know whether you've heard it before. When two people decide to live together without benefit of marriage, there are different set of rules than when you're married. I don't choose to waste my time in going through your grocery bills and seeing who was supposed to pay for what box of Rice Krispies.
Actually, I was speaking about rent because there's...
Well, that's all I'm speaking about. You
Yeah.
said I have all these bills. I have grocery bills and cable bills and all the other bills, and I don't intend to do that. The crux of your case is about a lease to which he obligated himself, and to which he was prepared to sign off, pay the month's rent, get off the lease, but it would involve you moving. And you said, I'm not moving.
I was never asked.
Just a minute. Yeah, it came up. I want to tell you something. It came up, Miss Valeria, because you were too quick to say, I don't think that I should have to move because of his actions.
No, I heard that from the leasing agents. That's the only person I heard it from. I never heard by
just
letter,
a second.
by nobody.
If you heard it from the leasing agent, then the leasing agent said to you, he came in trying to sign off on the lease. You mean it just came up, you said, how are you, leasing agent? Good morning.
When I went
and the leasing agent said to you, you shouldn't have to move because of something he did. Is that how it came up?
No.
All right. You know, don't give me...
Oh, I know.
Too smart. All right. I see September. What about October, sir?
October, November, they were all paid.
Show me. You have checks here.
I don't have the checks for October, November.
Why not?
You didn't pay them.
I did pay them.
Shh. Don't talk to her.
All right. The checks that I wrote out, I don't get actually copies back. Those checks there you see are from a relative of mine that wrote them out for me at the time because I had no checking account. So their bank sends back their checks. The bank that I currently use does not send back my checks.
Fine, just show me a statement.
Again, I don't have that.
Well, where'd you think you were coming today? To a dance? If you don't have the checks, then you have a bank statement. The bank statement shows what checks were paid.
I don't have it. Rent was paid on time every month.
Well, but the question is, did you pay your part of the rent? She says you paid some, but not all.
Well, we were roommates, so of course I did.
He didn't have a job.
Let me see your checks for October, November, and December.
There's,
You don't want this, do you?
What is that?
It's a
yeah, it's my
ledger.
checking account that shows.
It's a ledger.
I don't want your ledger. I want bank statement. You have a bank statement? Do you get your checks back?
No, but in the actual ledger, it tells that I pay Coachman Crossing. I mean, when you sign your check, there's like a backing to it that copies it.
She's very organized, so.
You actually don't get a receipt from them.
I'm not talking about a receipt, madam. I'm talking about a bank statement.
I didn't bring bank statements because when you sign a check, it has a carbon copy. So I could actually show you my checking account, but those are copies of it.
Let me explain something to you. When you write out a check, there's a carbon underneath.
Exactly.
You can write out a check, rip it up into little teeny, teeny, teeny pieces, and throw it in the garbage. And guess what you still have? The carbon. Right?
I do have the carbon, but
Just
I
a
don't have it
second.
with me.
Hello? Didn't you understand what I just said?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eileen Valerio says former live-in boyfriend Roger Hall owes her for breaking an apartment lease and the money she'd paid for car insurance. Roger says Eileen won't return his stereo equipment.
So you don't have your checks for October, November, and December either?
They should be all there. But
This is not here, madam. This is your ledger. This is your ledger. This is what you write out. This has nothing to do with a bank.
Your Honor, I use starter checks.
What?
I use starter checks.
Starter checks?
Correct.
Where are they?
I already used them.
You people deserve each other. I swear to you, people actually deserve each other. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes. The lease is going to be up in August.
Are you planning on staying there? Do you have a roommate?
No.
You live there all by yourself? And you're enjoying it?
Absolutely.
Pay for it. Now, let's get to next. Monies to purchase a car is what you have here.
What happened is when we moved to Florida, he had a car and he didn't have a license. So I put his car under my name for insurance and signed up for a policy for a year. We had agreed that we would use the same vehicle for a year. And he took the car, so now I don't have a car.
So you want him to pay for a car? That's what you said, monies to purchase a car.
Well,
and taxi transportation.
Taxi transportation is what I've been...
So
it
you want him
averages
to
out
pay-
to about $200 a month. That's a big expense. And I already paid the premium of the insurance policy. So I'm driving nothing and paid something.
Did you pay for... You have one point that I will give you. If you paid for the insurance and he's driving the car, he should reimburse you for the insurance, right?
Insurance is canceled. It's done.
It's over?
It's over with. It's
I
been
already
over with.
paid the premium. $626.
For how... Well...
There's no way.
Just a second. When did you cancel the insurance?
Months ago.
No, last month. He took the car, so I canceled the insurance because I don't...
Oh, he took the car, you canceled the insurance. What are you bothering me for?
Because I paid the premium already. I paid a year's worth of insurance.
Then they will reimburse it to you. What's next? And he's not paying for your taxi cab bills. What else?
I'm without a vehicle, so I don't get reimbursed for that?
No.
It's my vehicle.
So do I look like I need help from you? Huh?
No.
Miss Valerio, you tried a situation, it didn't work out, cost you a couple of bucks. What are you bothering me for? Let's get to your counterclaim, which is equally nonsense. Now, you say that she has of yours, sir, some property.
Correct.
And you also say that she damaged the car that she was driving around in, which
Correct.
is your car that no longer has insurance.
Correct.
All right, let's start with the damaged car. When did she damage your car? When she was driving it?
When I picked the car up and drove it out of the parking lot.
You mean after you separated?
After we separated, I had an escort.
Yes,
off of
you
the
picked
piece.
the car up and you drove it out of the parking lot. What happened?
Well, I drove it home and started smoking real bad.
It started smoking.
Correct.
So?
Reason why? Because there was no oil in the car.
Yes.
So it caused damage internally.
Why don't you put oil in the car?
Well, I did, but damage was already done.
Why didn't you put oil in the car before? You think that she sucked out the oil from the engine?
Before when?
Just a second. You think that she sucked out the oil from the engine to spite you?
Whether she's sucking it or not, I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, so what are you bothering me for? It's your car, make sure it's got oil. Next. What's next? What's next?
Please tell me you're next.
Good. VCR, stereo, and permanent scar.
Correct.
As you see, this is not the case of the century.
No.
And I don't take it really seriously. All right. Do you have his TV first?
No.
Do you have a TV?
Yes.
Where did you get it from?
I bought it when I was 20 years old with my tax returns.
And that's the only TV that you have?
Yes.
And what about the TV that you're talking about?
It's a 13-inch TV, Emerson. Color TV, remote control.
Where was that? Do you have any idea?
I believe it was in a box that he took from the apartment.
But you don't have it?
No.
All right. Do you have his VCR?
No.
Do you have a VCR?
No. Yeah, well, yes, mine.
Two of them.
Both mine.
You have two VCRs?
Mm-hmm. I have one in the bedroom and one in the living room.
One belongs to me.
How did you get it?
I bought it.
When?
95.
In 1995?
Correct. Receipts, manuals.
Oh, perfect. Good. He gets one VCR back, madam. One VCR for the defendant. And if you want to watch a movie, go in another room. What about stereo and speakers? Do you have that of his?
When actually he left the apartment after he had been arrested, we had a phone conversation, which my witness here actually heard, that when he moved out, like the clothes he has on right now, I bought. Everything in the apartment I bought. He told me that because he was moving into his parents' home, he would have no room for it, and whatever was left there that he didn't take, I could have as payment to put towards anything else because he was buying something new.
Did you say that to her, Mr. Hall?
No, I did not.
He actually heard the conversation.
I would never give up my stereo.
Your name, please.
Ray Marsh, Your Honor.
How do you know the plaintiff and the defendant?
We're best friends, and we used to be roommates, actually.
You and the defendant?
All three of us used to be roommates in New York.
Did you hear a conversation about any of this stereo equipment or anything else?
Yeah, and the conversation that I had overheard.
Overheard it in person or on the phone?
On the phone.
Were you standing next to the phone or you want an extension?
It was on a three-way conversation.
Go ahead, let me hear.
Mr. Hall and Ms. Lair were conversing about this, and he had said that she could have the stereo equipment because he wasn't going to be able to move into an apartment right away. He may have to move back in with his parents, and that she could have the equipment because he felt that was payment back for all the things that she had gotten him.
Did you have that conversation?
I had a conversation where I told her that I would leave it there for the time being because I had no place to put it. But when I come pick up all my stuff, I'm getting all of it at one time.
Okay. Let's get to the permanent scar left on my face by Eileen.
Scar on my face.
From what?
From her hitting me with a metal object.
When was that?
That's when I called the police. And I was arrested because I was the aggressor, they said. Charges were dropped.
Do you have any medical report?
No.
Do you have any pictures?
It's scared, it's scarred.
Do you have any photographs of the incident?
Actually, she does.
Could I see them, please?
I have a, from the injunction, he admits to doing everything.
Well, he clearly has some marks on his face. He's clearly
yeah,
scratched him up real good.
There's pictures of me in
hit
there
him
as
up
well.
real good. And I see your pictures here.
I didn't hit him with a metal object, actually. It was my nails.
It looks like nails to me.
Yeah.
Looks like you really went after each other that night.
Actually, I didn't. He punched me, and I was just trying to get him away from me. And my nails actually broke against the wall when he pushed me against the wall. And that's how he got the scratches on his face.
I restrained her, Your Honor.
You were what?
Restrained her. I pushed her away from me. That's just the pictures. There's red marks. That's from restraining.
I see it.
In this statement right here in court, he admits to doing everything if you would like to
I'd like to see it.
He admitted himself into a 26-week course for domestic violence, and he actually overheard another conversation.
That was court ordered. He didn't admit himself.
Well, actually, he admits in there that he wanted to do it himself, and then he overheard another conversation where he wanted to admit himself into a mental institution.
Ms. Valerio, let me ask you this question, madam. Do you think he has... Put the rubber band down. You think he... Put the rubber band down. You think he has mental problems?
I think he has psychological problems that stem from childhood, yes.
Fine. If you think he has psychological problems, why in the world would an intelligent person want to keep property like his stereo equipment that it appears that he now wants? Even if he once said to you, in the heat of a moment, you can keep all that stuff, I don't want it. Now he wants his stereo stuff back. Why wouldn't a smart person say, I'm glad I got away. I don't have any broken bones. I don't have a child with him. There's nothing to keep us together. The only thing that's going to be a bee in his bonnet is his stereo equipment.
He could have taken it.
But now he wants it. I'm just talking about being smart. I'm not talking about you having to return it. I'm talking about being smart. So far, you did a lot of things that weren't smart. It would be smart to cut your ties with him. Right?
Sure.
Good. You can pick up your stereo equipment, sir, along with the one VCR. I believe that you probably at some point said in the heat of the moment, I don't care, you can keep all that stuff. Yeah. But I do believe it's smarter on her part to give it back to you. We got each other? Good. That's all. That resolves this case. You have no case. He has no case, but he's getting a VCR and a stereo. Goodbye, have nothing to do with each other. According to this, you sent him balloons on his birthday, Miss Valeria?
Yep.
Well, that's even dumber than dumb.
When someone has a problem,
Your
we
Honor.
just want
That's even dumber than dumb.
Your Honor.
Because quiet. That sends out mixed messages to him.
True.
Forget about your scar.
He was supposed to. He was actually supposed to get help, and he now.
Miss Valerio,
didn't get it.
pay careful attention to me.
I know.
It sends out mixed messages, madam.
It wasn't just from me. It was from all of us.
What do you want?
This is a copy of a returned check that Miss Valerio had forged my name.
There's nothing about, in your countersuit, anything about a forged check.
Actually, this is just brought to my attention recently.
Say goodbye to him, will you, please?
Goodbye. Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Caterer William Patterson is suing neighbor, 29-year-old massage therapist Tim Freytag for impound fees and loss of wages resulting from false hit-and-run charges.
Order. All rise. Yes, it's case number 495 on the calendar in the matter of Patterson versus Freytag. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Patterson, how long have you and the defendant been neighbors?
Approximately 4 to 5 years.
Ever had any trouble with each other? Other than this instance?
Yes, I have.
Like what kind of trouble?
Well, my dogs were poisoned, my car was hit and run, my tires had been slashed.
What does that have to do with the defendant?
Well, I feel that he filed this report maliciously against me, Your Honor, to make my
I'm
life
not talking about the
miserable.
report. I'm talking about prior to this report that we're talking about. Had you had any difficulty with him?
Other than incidents, no. I rarely see these people or speak with them.
So, my question is, prior to this incident,
Yes.
had you had any difficulty with Mr. Freytag?
No.
According to your complaint, you hit his car,
Yes.
which was parked.
Yes.
Deliberately.
And that happened on a Friday, the 15th
Yes.
of December. Your claim is that he filed a false report of a hit and run, as a result of which your car was impounded, you lost a catering job, you want him to pay for the impound fees and the loss of income that you had as a result of this catering job.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's go to December 15th. At what time of the day did you hit his car?
I would say about 8:30 a.m.
What happened when you hit his car?
Well, when I start the car, I put it in gear. The van lurched forward and broke Mr. Freytag's lens covers on his car and scratched his bumper. Then Mr. Freytag came out, running out of his house, yelling at me, and I told him that I was an accident, that I was sorry, that I had insurance, that I would pay for it.
It's not true.
You'll have your turn. Did you give him your insurance card and information?
No, I showed it to him.
What do you mean you showed it to him?
I showed it to him. I said, I have insurance for all my vehicles. He kept yelling at me. He says, "Why? You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that." And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I have to leave now." And I did. I had a big event that evening. I will at any time work 3 to 5 parties in a weekend, so it was...
Just try to answer my question, sir.
Okay.
You're not going to get ahead of me. Trust me.
I know.
Trust me.
I do trust you.
You're not. Just trust me that you're not going to get ahead of me. Where were you going?
I was going to the store to pick up some product.
What kind of product?
I think it was paper plates and napkins or something.
Anything else?
It was, I think I needed some sugar and some dairy product, and...
So where did you go after you left the store?
I went back and parked
To where? You went back to where?
A street in back of my house, 2 blocks from my house.
And why did you do that?
Because I've been having my tires slashed.
But you had had your tires slashed before and yet you parked in front of your house.
Well, I actually have built a driveway on the side of my house.
You mean just this day you decided when
because
you
I
came
was
back not to park your car there?
It's a hassle to park in that small area that I have.
So instead
created.
you parked 2 blocks away.
This time, yes.
And you walked home with all your product.
No, I left the product in the van.
So then whatever you bought, you left in the van and you went to your house.
I made some phone calls and, went out in my other car to meet someone.
What time?
9:30, 10 maybe.
So you went to the store, picked up what you needed, you came back, made some phone calls, and then went out again, all in the span of a half hour?
I would say so, yes.
So then you went out again in another one of your cars.
Yes.
Now that car, I guess you weren't worried about having the tires slashed.
No. It had already been slashed.
You mean you drove a car with slashed tires?
No.
And what time did you get home that evening?
We left.
Excuse me?
When I saw my car being towed, I canceled my party and I left.
How did you see your car being towed?
Well, I saw the police in front of my house talking to Mr. Freitag.
About what time, sir?
This is about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, so you didn't leave?
I was driving by and I saw the police in front of the house talking with Mr. Freitag.
Yes.
And I didn't want to deal with the police. They've been searching my house 3-4 times a month.
Just a second. You didn't want to deal with the police at that time.
Yeah.
So I assume that you knew at that time they were talking to Mr. Freitag about the accident that had occurred that morning.
Exactly.
And you didn't want to deal with it at that time.
I don't want to deal with it.
So you left.
Exactly.
Now then you said something about seeing your car being towed. When did that happen?
My neighbor told me that my van had been towed and that the police were looking for me.
At what time did you see your neighbor?
This was in the early afternoon.
What did you do then?
I went to Santa Barbara.
Is that where the car was?
No, that's where the police weren't.
That's where the police were not?
Yes.
Okay, and why did you do that?
Because I'm afraid of the police.
Okay. Okay. When did you finally make contact with the police, Mr. Patterson?
Monday morning.
So that was 3 days later?
Yes.
Okay, and what did you do?
I went in because I called the detectives, wanted me to come in. I came in, I showed them my insurance, and they let me go.
How did you know to see this particular detective? Was there a note on your door?
How did I don't remember.
Okay. But they told you where your car was?
Yes.
And when was your catering job?
That evening, December 15th.
Well, could you explain to me, I mean, even if I bought this whole story, could you explain to me why Mr. Freitag is responsible for you losing a catering job on December 15th?
Because he had my car filed towed for no other reason than to be malicious. I mean, I've lived next door to him.
Just a second. So you had all this stuff prepared, I assume, for this party on December 15th. If you had everything ready, you go to the party and you do the party. You rent a couple of taxi cabs and you get there. Why is he responsible for that?
Because my van was towed.
I'm saying to you, sir, you have the food for the party, you got the paper plates, you got the sugar, you got the dairy, you got everything else. You want to go over to the party, and I assume that you had done all of this stuff well in advance, at least most of it, certainly done in the morning. He didn't interfere. You weren't in jail. You go to do the party. All right, Mr. Freitag, let's hear your version. He hits your car, you hear a noise. What happened?
I believe he hit my car at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I would like to elaborate on something. I believe that my car being struck deliberately is simply a symptom of a larger scope, a bigger picture. I have evidence of a running log of Bill Patterson harassing his wife, and she at this point is 7 months pregnant. Once I called the police because of it. My witness, John Kelly, has called the police based on this log about 4 times, I believe. So this
Can I see the log, please?
It's this wife harassment process, and my worry and my concern for the baby that I believe has brought all of this on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Patterson says neighbor Tim Freitag filed false hit-and-run charges against him. Tim denies the charges were false and says he's concerned for the welfare of William's wife.
Are you aware of the fact that he had called the police as a result of what he believed to be domestic violence in your house?
I believe that he was calling the police, yes.
Is this your wife?
Yes.
Step up. Have you been at home when the police responded to your home?
Pardon me?
Have you been at home when the police came to your home?
Yes.
Involving domestic violence in your home?
The first time, no. Just
At any time?
yes.
How long have you been married to the plaintiff?
Tomorrow gonna be 3 years.
You have children?
One baby, yeah.
How old is your baby?
7 months.
Does your husband yell?
Sometimes.
Does he yell loud?
He has a loud voice, yeah.
Do you ever yell at him?
Not often.
Has your husband ever put his hands on you?
No,
Never.
no.
Where do you come from?
I'm from El Salvador.
Do you have any other family here?
No,
You're alone.
yeah,
Do you know the defendant?
yeah.
Have you ever spoken with him?
Just one time.
When was that?
I think so. I was pregnant when I talked to him. He was doing some gardening, and we live next door, and he just, I don't know, I talked to him.
You never had any problem with him, is that right? You never had any problem with Mr. Freytag?
No.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I do operate a catering business out of my home. I yell on the phone with my purveyors, with my fishmonger, whoever it is.
That's not what we're talking about
I
here.
understand that's not what you're talking
Mr.
about.
Patterson, that's not what we're talking
I
about
have
here.
built fences between our properties to try and give my neighbors more privacy.
Illegal
but there's
fence.
no domestic violence going on, and I consider this harassment. I mean, we have had the agriculture department, the dog catcher,
Mr.
the
Patterson,
building inspector,
Mr.
every
Patterson.
possible person come and inspect us.
Mr. Patterson, we're not talking about yelling and screaming on the phone, sir, to people who are servicing your business. And when I asked you before whether or not you had had any prior dealings of a negative nature with the defendant, you said no.
Yeah.
But you just told me, sir, you were aware of the fact or believed that he had called the police with regard to what he believed to be domestic violence coming from your home.
I assumed that. I also assumed that he's been slashing the tires and doing all this other malicious stuff to my property.
You want to say anything else, sir?
It sounded one day and several times like his wife was in distress and he was doing the aggressive yelling.
Were you the only one at home when you heard that?
No.
Who else was at home?
John Kelly on many occasions.
Well, step up, Mr. Kelly. I'd like to hear you, sir.
Anna, my other roommate.
Well, that person's not here. Mr. Kelly,
Yes, Your Honor.
you live in the same house as the defendant?
Yes, we share the house.
Have
Along
you
with
ever
another
heard what appeared to be yelling coming from the plaintiff's home?
I would say frequently, Your Honor, if not consistently. And it was I who made the first phone call alleging domestic abuse, and I think it's ongoing.
Can you tell me what you heard the first time?
Very loud yelling, obviously directed at Gloria. We had been concerned about her ongoing, and I just got to the point where I could no longer ignore it. And by this time, she'd had the baby, and I was concerned that the kid should even be in that environment where all the yelling and screaming didn't seem to me like to be the proper place for the job. But in addition to which, I thought that ultimately it could get physical. Mr. Patterson's got a reputation in the neighborhood for being somewhat strange with his temper.
Did you ever hear the same kind of confrontations coming from the house while Miss Patterson was pregnant?
They did not seem to be as regular, and it didn't register me at the with me at the time. I started that log. We actually kept that log on the refrigerator, and I told everybody in and around the house at any time anything happened with this guy to make a note of it, because I suspected something like this was going to come up. I actually wanted to pursue a restraining order. Tim didn't. I think we need one. When I served him the summons in the case that we originally filed against him to get Tim's damages back, he came at me with a 2x4. I actually found that amusing. I wasn't too concerned, as you may have imagined.
I gather. Are you the other neighbor?
Yes.
Step up, sir. Tell me your name.
James Robinson.
How long have you lived in the neighborhood, Mr. Robinson?
8 years.
You know the plaintiff?
Yes, both.
You know his wife?
Yes.
How far away do you live from them?
I live in a condo right next to them, and actually the side of my house faces their side, and then they're on the other side.
Are you friends?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know the defendant?
Yes, friends with them too.
Have any problem with them?
None at all.
Were you the one who told Mr. Patterson that his car had been towed?
That was a guy across the street.
You know, I have some information about the towing.
Yes.
It was actually I who called the police the second time. I became concerned that Mr. Patterson was probably stashing his vehicle in order to cover up evidence of the accident, because when I returned to the house, I actually saw the accident happen. What happened was I went out looking for the van. I found the van. There was clear evidence of the impact on it. I called Tim on his cell phone. He went and took pictures. I then called the police and told them that the reason that I was calling them is that we could not determine either the license or insurance information from Mr. Patterson. The officer was great. He says to me, "We'll go get it." He says, "He'll tell me or I'll take his truck." He went to the house. This is approximately 4:30 in the afternoon. Nobody responded. Police then went back to the truck, called the tow truck. By this time, it's dark, so it's fairly late in the day.
So this was at least at 5:30 or 6 o'clock.
Definitely, it was after sunset. But I was the one that initiated
Well,
the
after
call.
you'd bring catered food to a party.
I would think so.
Right. Okay. Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
ever heard any yelling coming from their house?
A few times. But again, I know Billy, and I know that he does have a loud voice, and I know it's harmless.
You don't live with them.
No.
When you heard the loud yelling, Mr. Robinson, you look like a very honest guy. I know I'm going to get honest answers from you. Was that yelling that was coming from conversation with an employee on the telephone, or was it coming from someone who was yelling at his wife?
I think it could have been a combination of both. I think, like I say, Billy's very emotional and can be very loud. I know that he wouldn't hurt her because I've confronted him on that, and I kind of...
Mr. Robinson, you know I've been around the block a little bit in this business.
Right.
When you say you've had conversations with Mr. Patterson about it, it must have bothered you a little bit.
Yeah,
Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
That it bothered you a little bit. That he's got a wife who comes from El Salvador who doesn't have another living soul here. You don't hear her yelling at him, do you?
No.
Just him. Mr. Patterson, you have no basis for your lawsuit, sir. Instead of following through, you took your car away and you stashed it a couple of blocks away. You saw the police were looking for you. You avoided the police. You said that yourself. You wanted not to deal with the police at all. You figured maybe the whole thing would blow over. I don't know what you thought. The defendant, shh, I'm speaking. You're not going to yell at me. Trust me. The defendant had an absolute right to call the police and say, he hit my car, he took off, he secreted his car along with the evidence of the accident, which was on your car, and the police had absolutely every right to go and impound your car until you came in, which you did, not that day, but 3 days later. The fact that you, according to you, lost a catering job, that's your fault. I believe the witness for the defendant that your car was not towed until much later in the day. And if I had a responsibility of catering a party, I would have hired 2 taxi cabs, said I have all the stuff ready, I'm taking the stuff over there, and I'll deal with this car at some other time. The thing that's most distressing to me is that you lied to me with regard to whether you and the defendant had had any prior negative dealings, and it is clear to me that you did. You were aware of the fact that the defendant had, in fact, called the police with regard to what he believed was domestic violence coming from your home.
I suspected it.
You suspected it. Well, your suspicions were well-founded, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, who came here today as your witness, was sufficiently concerned with the welfare of your wife to have had a discussion with you about what he perceived to be overbearing, let's use a nice word, overbearing behavior on your part with regard to your wife. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't say violent. I said overbearing. Put your hand down, sir. I mean, is there something really relevant?
I wrote a note to him on a neighborly basis saying, your child is going to suffer from what you're doing. Why don't you get anger management? And I put it in his mailbox.
Well, there's no question in my mind that he knew that the police complaint emanated from you. I believe that you probably have an anger problem, Mr. Patterson. You had an anger problem that day. Your wife is alone here in a foreign country. She has no family here. And that is a very, very unfortunate circumstance for somebody who is the wife of somebody who has an anger problem. And you do. You have a child, you have a son.
I do not have an anger problem.
Do you have a son? I asked you.
Yes, I have a son.
Sons emulate what they see. If you do not respect their mother and demonstrate that respect on an ongoing basis, you will raise an abuser. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. Your lawsuit before me is dismissed. And, Bert, would you take Mrs. Patterson aside and ask her if she wants to have a discussion with me? I'd be more than happy to speak with her privately in the event that she wants to discuss anything with me privately. or any referrals that I might make for her. Thank you.
Okay, Judge. Parties are excused. You may step out.
29-year-old homemaker Melissa Thomas and her son, 10-year-old Austin Saffel, are suing 39-year-old custodial worker Carlissa Jackson and her son, 12-year-old Joel. Austin claims Joel punched him in the face twice, breaking his nose.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Jackson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, it is your claim that the defendant's son broke your son's nose.
Correct.
You want to tell me what happened?
Well, I was walking down the street because my friends said they were going to play football that day. None of them were out there. And then Tyra and Judith, the two girls that were like friends that lived down the street, and they were yelling out the window. And I didn't understand what they're saying. I was like, well, I'm gonna go home. Then Joe started coming to me, and he was like, what's up, what's up? And then he hit me in my nose. And then I said, I don't want to fight you, and he hit me in my nose, and it started to bleed.
So were you alone at the time he came up to you?
Yes.
Okay, now let's come to you, Ms. Thomas. How did you find out about your son's nose?
Well, the young lady, Tyra, is one of the girls that was with him, came running up to my...
I thought you said you were alone.
But they were coming out the door at the time. So as he walked up to me, they were coming out the door.
So one of the girls came to your house?
Yes, and she came running up to the door saying, hurry, hurry, Austin's bleeding, he needs you down the street. So I went running down there, and I saw him with his head back like this. There was blood everywhere, all over his clothes, on the ground. And I ripped off my tank top and put it to his face, and I asked him, do you know who did this to you? And they said, it's Joe, and he's right around the corner playing basketball. I said, take me to him. Take me to him right now. And I said, so you're the one who broke my son's nose. And he said, I ain't got time for your drama, B. And started going off on me. Like I was bothering his game of basketball when he just broke my son's nose. I said, so what, you just are going to break my son's nose and act like it's nothing? He's like, you. You know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to stand out here and argue with a bunch of kids. So I went home, I picked up the phone, I called 911. The cops came out, took him home to his cousin. I had him delivered in a cop car.
Now I'll hear from you.
At first I was walking home from school, and then my best friend asked me if I want to play basketball. So we was over his house playing basketball. His sister Tyra told him that some little boy around the corner was messing with her. So we went around the corner, and as I was about to fight him, I stepped in the middle and I told him not to hit him. Then he was talking stuff, and he called
Who's he was talking stuff?
Austin.
Did you know him from before?
No, never seen this.
So what kind of stuff was he talking?
He was like, I'm not scared of him, I'm not scared of him. And then he called me a B, and then I just took off my jacket and I hit him twice.
Do you think that's okay?
If I felt like if I wouldn't hit him, then he would hit me.
But he didn't hit you.
I felt like he was about to.
What made you think he was about to hit you?
Because the way he looked at me.
The way he looked at you?
The way he looked at me.
Now, after you hit him twice in the nose, you went back to play basketball.
Yes.
And then his mother came up to you. She just told me that you cursed at her.
No.
Yes, you did.
Well, she was cussing at me. She actually threatened me.
Well, how did she threaten you?
She said she would get a 15 or 16-year-old on me, and she said she'll kill me. That's when she stepped down the street like she was going to hit me, but my best friend, he stepped in front of me and told her to go on because she's not hitting me.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Were you arrested?
Well, taken home, yeah.
After you were taken home, did you have to appear in juvenile court?
No.
Why didn't you press charges against him?
I did press charges, Your Honor, but they were telling me even if I filed and received a misdemeanor on him for the assault charges, the only pain and suffering or anything that I could get was $300.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about teaching him a lesson. How many times have you been in a police car?
Just twice.
When before that were you in a police car?
Some little kids was busting windows, and they mistakenly put me in the police car on accident, and it wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
No.
Let me see your bills.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Yes.
You know, and also when Austin had, after he had broke his nose, he told my son, he said to everybody in the neighborhood, he kept saying, well, that's what the white boy gets. That's what the white boy gets, you know. And my son, granted, he is light-skinned, but I don't care what shade you are, you know what I mean? This isn't about what color you are. It's about violating my child.
Absolutely right.
So that was another thing, because they think he's a white boy, and he's not just a white boy.
No, he's a boy.
Right, exactly.
He's a boy. What?
I don't feel like it's a racial thing here because my son is not racist, not at all.
He may not be, but he certainly has a little bit of a violent tendency.
I mean, that's all kids is like that. When you're
No, all kids aren't like
this
that.
he was.
All kids aren't
he
like
was
that.
cursing too.
Cursing
So-
is one thing. Listen to me. Your son went up to him, came around the corner, came up to him, and hit him in the face because he didn't like the way he looked at him, according to him.
No.
He looked as if he might be going to hit him, so he hit him first, twice. But he went looking for him. He came around the corner, and before he even found out what was going on, I mean, I read his answer. His answer was he was protecting some little girl that he thought he was teasing. He was in a confrontation with another friend. That's a lot of baloney. He came around the corner, and he hit him twice. And he's responsible. He's responsible for his broken nose. He's responsible for all the medical bills, and he's responsible for pain and suffering. He's responsible for that.
I understand that.
What? You want to say something, sir?
Yes. Your Honor, when I received the phone call from my wife that the incident had taken place, I rushed home. During the time that my wife was filing a report, she had noticed that two of the young men that were at the scene were walking by snickering. And so I asked him to come here, and I asked him, I said, you know what, I want to know which one of you two were the one calling my wife out of her name. And they began to tell me that Joe is one of the kids in the neighborhood that he thinks he has to go for bad or whatnot. He has to prove something to himself. And that the girls that he accuses my son of making fun of, we have written testimonies from the young ladies. They warned Austin to run because they knew that Joe was going to go up to him and fight him for no reason at all. I asked the police officer to make sure his mother calls us. She wanted to know what happened. And she explained to me that, you know, it doesn't surprise her that her son, you know, might have did this, but she wanted to hear both. She wanted to hear both sides of the story. She is well aware that Joe is one way with her and another way out in the neighborhood, and she can't understand why he acts that way because her other children, her other young boys, don't act that way.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 10-year-old Austin Saffel says neighbor 12-year-old Joel Jackson punched him in the face and broke his nose. Joel says he thought Austin was going to hit him first.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I spoke to her one time as Austin's mother. She informed me that she wants to hurry up and get the court situation over with. And I just hung up on her. I flat out hung up on her. You know, how are you going to call me and tell me that we need to hurry up and get this over with? Well, so would I, but I have to go to an ENT for my son's nose. His nose has to be broke now 2 times because he has a lump coming out of the side of his nose. You know, hello, this doesn't end for me just because I go to court.
So you have to do additional medical procedures other than the $2,059 that you've already spent.
Yes, it's $85 just for us to show our face into the ENT clinic.
Could you step up, please? I want to take a look at your nose. Where is it broken?
It's broke right down here, right in here.
You have any medical report in your file?
Yes, I do.
Can I see? Step back to your folks, please. Do you have any other report with regard to the procedure for re-breaking his nose and resetting it?
I asked them what it will cost for Austin's nose. They said every nose varies. Some noses run $1,000, some runs $500. They just don't know until they see it.
Well, right now you have about $2,100 in out-of-pocket expenses just for his medical visits.
Yes, and I have no insurance because my husband got a better paying job, and his insurance doesn't even kick in for 90 days. So this is, every time I've went, it's self-pay, self-pay. I mean, we work for a living.
Yes, we do.
Well, I'm glad that you're working.
I agree with that.
I'm glad that you're working. She's not going to have any of these expenses out of pocket. You had no right to hit him. Don't look up at the sky. You're just very, very lucky that they didn't pursue this matter in juvenile court because they probably wouldn't have put you away, but you would have had a record. How old are you?
12.
12. So you would have had a record at age 12. That's not very smart. How many brothers do you have?
2.
They ever been in jail?
No.
They nice boys?
Yes.
Good. So you have good examples at home. What happened to you?
Nothing.
Ever been suspended for fighting in school?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. How did I know that? How do you think I knew that?
I don't know.
Wasn't that a good question? Look, I'm only giving you your medical bills up until today, plus some additional costs that you incurred. But you may have to bring an additional suit once you have additional medical costs, because I can't anticipate what those medical bills are going to be. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. It covers your bills until today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't appreciate her cussing out my son the way she did.
When you see your child bleeding on a street and he's left there and you're just going to protect your child, I would say that sometimes you say things that just is not of you, but out of, frustration and anger.
And now the next case.
All parties on Zavala versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Brooklyn Zavala is suing her sister-in-law, 23-year-old restaurant manager Tiana Johnson, for babysitting fees and damage to her vehicle.
Mrs. Zavala, the defendant is your sister-in-law.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you provided daycare services for your sister-in-law's children.
Yes.
Then she decided to move. You did provide childcare for a few days, for which you were not paid.
Correct.
And then on the day that your sister-in-law was moving, it is your claim that she damaged a car of yours.
True.
What was your arrangement with regard to the childcare?
I was to get paid $2.37 per hour.
How did you come
per
to that
child.
figure?
Because that's what the state was allowing her to get. I was just to get the whole check from the Health and Welfare Office. I got a check for May, June, and July. And then in August, I watched them for 5 days.
Which 5 days in August?
2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Ms. Johnson, did you get a check from the state for those dates in August?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because they were taking me off that program at that time because I was moving.
She was supposed to get a check. I have record right here that it got sent back to Health and Welfare.
Let me see.
From her caseworker.
My caseworker told me that I was not getting a check for that month.
So it was returned?
Right.
So she did not, you're not claiming that she got the money and just didn't give it to you?
Right, I just didn't get paid.
Well, she's not going to pay you. You have to get your money from the state. That was your agreement.
They only pay a portion on that, so she would also have to pay on top of that.
Why? That wasn't your agreement.
Because
that wasn't your agreement, Ms. Zavala.
True.
Your agreement was that whatever money she received from the state, you would get.
Right.
And you never got any additional monies in the months that you did watch the children.
True.
Right? So why would you expect additional monies in August?
I estimated it from $2.37 for each child per hour.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I do.
I don't know what we're fighting about here for 5 days worth of daycare. If two people who are related to each other, except maybe the fight's about this damaged truck. So you want to tell me about the damaged truck?
Well, the morning of the 8th of August, we got a phone call saying we needed to come to Tiana's. Tiana had something to tell us. We were told she was leaving town because she was scared to death if her husband was going to kill her, which is her witness right now.
Go ahead.
Her brother and her also got in an argument, and because he was telling her that she shouldn't pick up and leave like that with 3 children.
Who should she leave the children with?
We were going to offer, or Sean and Christine, and then Delano and Amanda, which was also her brother and sister-in-law.
Okay. What happened when she left?
Well, we helped her pack, and a couple hours later, she just was leaving, wasn't watching where she was going, and backed into my car. She said sorry, didn't even get out of her van, and then left.
She was upset, I assume, right?
No, she was fine by then because we were just packing up and leaving. She was in a hurry to leave.
Why do you think she was in a hurry?
Because she had to meet with a couple people in Oregon that she was going with.
She said she had to leave because she was deathly afraid of her husband. You don't think that picking up and leaving and packing up very quickly and leaving with your 3 children, you're upset? I mean, I'm not giving...
That happened a month or 2 prior to her leaving. She was still going up and taking the kids up to his house
Because he's their father.
Until 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's deathly afraid of him. These are the car estimates and pictures.
I also have a blue book value of the car as a trade-in and as retail value.
Well, you definitely hit her car.
She was parked at an angle right in my blind spot on a cul-de-sac, which you're supposed to be parked with the curve. She was parked straight out this way. And when I was backing out, I could not see her, and I hit her like this.
Okay. $900 worth of damage.
And the blue book value of the car as a trade-in is $375, and the retail value is $1,400. I think that's a large amount for damage. It's almost as much as the car is worth.
So what do you think the right thing to do is?
Actually, 4 days before she filed this suit, I had told my brother that I was going to give them some money. And she has not tried to contact me, tried to resolve anything, to even try to work out a payment or anything.
Well, what is everybody so mad about?
I think she's mad because I left and she was out of a job.
No, because I went and got a job 2 weeks later.
All I heard that day that I was leaving was, what about the check? What about the check? No, you know, I'm going to miss you or anything. It was all about the check, the money.
Wrong, because I was trying to talk her out of going. I was scared for the kids' welfare because the van wasn't going to make it to West Virginia.
Did it make it?
No. She left it on the side of a highway with all of their belongings in it, pretty much.
No, I didn't. I got the belongings there. My children were safe. My children were back safe.
Did the van die?
The transmission went out.
How did you get to your final destination?
With the rest of the party that I was traveling with. We had 3 different cars going.
Where were you going? Just
to West Virginia.
To what?
I had some friends up there.
Who are the other people?
Supposed to stay there. Some cousins, longtime friends of the family.
Well, were they going to live too?
Mm-hmm.
You just decided to all leave at the same time to go to West Virginia to live?
Right. There was a lot of circumstances following that.
Well, just give it to me in 30 seconds or less, would you?
Okay. They were deciding to leave, so I went over there. They offered me to go with them, so I decided, yeah, I would
Where
go.
were you all going? I mean, were you going to a farmhouse someplace? Where were you going to live?
No, I have a really good friend that lives up there, and she offered for me to stay with her.
How long did you stay there?
I stayed there a matter of 2 months.
And then where did you come?
I had to come back to the state of Idaho.
Why?
For a custody hearing.
And then you reconciled with your husband?
Somewhat, yes.
What does somewhat mean?
We're working on the situation.
Do you live under the same roof?
No.
What?
Can I stand up?
Of course, if you want to speak.
Yeah, what I was told by his mother was that...
It's hearsay.
Well, even he admitted it. She came back down for that custody hearing plus a battery hearing.
Against him?
Against him, and then they were still together during that whole issue. They came back and they're still together now, from what I heard.
I guess.
And the whole thing with the car is, when she was up in West Virginia, I talked to her, said, you need to start making some payments. And that was like almost a year went by and nothing happened.
You owe them $900 to fix their car. With regard to the money for your 5 days of babysitting, I suggest that you take that up with the state.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all.
Houghton is suing her former friend, 40-year-old merchandise manager Pamela Nicolay, for illegally taking possession of a Chevy Blazer. Pamela says Dolores gave it to her as collateral for an unpaid phone bill.
Order. All rise. This is case number 488 on the calendar in the matter of Houghton versus Nicolay.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Let me see if I understand this case. Miss Houghton, your husband was incarcerated.
Right.
And while he was incarcerated, you were living not far from the defendant.
Correct.
You had an arrangement where your husband would make collect calls to her phone from prison in order to talk to you.
Correct. It was from county jail.
And there was quite a bill that was amassed, over $400 worth of collect phone calls. At some point, you agreed to sign over title to an old truck that's about 20 years old to the defendant to hold as collateral for the monies that you owed her for the phone bill.
Not exactly. The title for the truck was only to be used just...
Just a second. You agreed to sign over the title to her?
Yes.
Yes. To ensure that your husband paid the bill?
Actually, what was the whole point, the point about the title and me giving it to Pam was so she can use for leverage so Michael could buy back the title because it was his truck and she figured he would actually be more apt to pay the phone bill for his title to the truck, because that was his only...
Whatever. It was really to be held as collateral until the bill was paid.
The title.
The truck, not the title. The title isn't worth anything. The title is just a piece of paper. Your husband got out of jail, and an agreement was not worked out, I assume. Your husband went and took the truck. At some point, your husband went and took the truck from where? Miss Nicolay.
Actually, she stole it from my house on November the 15th.
Who came and took the truck from the house?
Dolores and the tow truck driver that she supposedly is having an affair with.
I don't care about that. Now, what you want is, you want the truck back. Do you have the truck now?
No, I sold it.
Sold it? Mm-hmm. When did you sell it?
I sold it, actually I signed title over a few days ago to a gentleman that had purchased it.
So this is February?
Yes.
Between the time that she signed the truck over to you, which was when?
She signed it over on September the 18th.
And when did he get out of jail?
He got out in October.
Between October and February, when you signed title over to somebody else, did he pay you the money for the phone bill?
No, he did not. He called me up and said that we had agreed on $430 and I would turn the truck over to him. And there you have a Thunderbird that's been sitting on our property that I agreed to store. And that and the truck he was to pick up on November the 15th. And that's the date that they stole it.
November 15th, he was supposed to bring you the money.
He was supposed to bring the money and remove both the vehicles from the property. And that day they stole the Blazer from the property.
You mean she came with the truck?
The tow truck gentleman, when I was not on my property, and loaded it up onto the vehicle, the back of the tow truck.
Okay, where's the husband now?
As far as I know, he was taken back to jail.
He was released. He was taken to jail.
She knows a lot more about your husband than you do.
Because
he was released. When?
I don't know. I talked to the CHP officer, and they said that they released him. Parole did.
Okay. So, Miss Horton, what do you want?
All I wanted was for Michael to have his truck back, because at the time I had already purchased a vehicle.
No, what do you want now?
What do I want now?
Yeah.
To take all this back where it originally started, because it wasn't for her to have to do with whatever she wanted to do with. It wasn't her. She got
no,
a truck.
I'm asking what you're suing for now.
For the vehicle, because it wasn't hers to sell.
Sure was. She had the title.
But I didn't sign it for that purpose.
You signed it over to her so that she could get paid from your husband for the phone calls that he had made to you collect. He got out of jail. He didn't pay her for the phone bill. What did you expect her to do?
Well,
you want to be standing over there and she's standing over here and saying you owe me $430 for a phone bill?
Actually, that would be all right, because it wasn't between me and her. It was between Michael and her. And
no, it wasn't.
She had talked to Michael on the phone.
No, it wasn't originally. According to you, it wasn't originally. According to you, the title to the truck rested in you. You had the ability to sign over the title to her. You did. You did. And you said, this is your story. You said, I thought she could use it for leverage to get Michael to pay the phone bill. That's what you told me. That's what you said right here.
Partially, because originally the truck title was in Dolores and Michael, or Dolores and Michael. And
whatever,
Pam,
I don't care about that. The title to the truck is in your name. According to your complaint, you say that you wanted her to hold the truck to give her leverage to get Michael to pay the bill. That's what you say.
That was something we both had discussed. For my
Fine,
best
that's what you
interest.
decided to do. So she said, fine, I want my phone bill paid, and if I can't get my phone bill paid, at least I have something from this jailbird who's in and out of jail all the time. Right? She knew she wasn't going to get a sou out of you. Why didn't you pay the phone bill? It's your husband.
I had attempted to pay in ways of helping her with her mom's...
Not helping her. Straighten out a house and babysitting her children. I'm talking about paying her cash money, U.S. dollars, to pay for her phone bill. The phone company doesn't accept babysitting services.
Well,
the phone company accepts cash money.
For one, I wasn't the one who was accepting the phone calls. I didn't tell her to do it.
Did you ask her if you could collect phone calls from my husband so I could talk to him?
No. Michael had asked her and her son. before they even discussed it with me because...
Go ahead.
No. Actually...
Yeah, she's full of baloney. I got that already.
Actually, she had received a few phone calls before I'd even known that the phone calls were receiving at my mother's home. My mother is an elderly lady, and she has Alzheimer's disease, which lives on our property. My son stays down there with her. And Dolores was going down there and receiving the telephone calls.
Before you even knew about it?
Right.
That sound right to you?
I think DJ was the one who accepted the phone calls.
Whatever. It's not her responsibility. It's not her responsibility. It's your husband.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dolores Houghton says former friend Pamela Nicolay owes her for a Chevy Blazer. Pamela says the truck was collateral for collect calls made from jail by Dolores's husband.
You want to say to him, don't call here collect anymore? I'm not going to be here to speak to you because I don't want to incur any bills?
I did try that.
You tried it, but it didn't work. All you have to do is not go to the phone.
And there was times I never went to the phone.
I'm not talking about times you never went to the phone. $430 worth, you did go to the phone.
Okay, I went to the phone.
According to you, it's not your truck anyway. It's Michael's truck. Right? Is that what you just told me? It was Michael's truck? So what are you doing here? You want money from her?
No, I was wanting Michael to get his truck back so
he can't get his truck back. She sold it. So what do you want?
I guess if she wanted her $400 phone bill, she got paid her $400 phone bill. And in reality, if I sold her the truck, well, how much did I sell it to her for? $400?
How much did you get for the truck?
I had to put a lot of money back into it, but I sold it for $1,500.
Good. So you made a profit.
After Michael put a transmission in it.
After they stole it, they put a transmission in it.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
He should have saved the money that he spent on the transmission and given her phone bill.
He got a transmission from Wrecking Yard.
He's very resourceful, this guy. He's just not resourceful about getting money and paying his obligations.
You're right
Good.
about that.
So what are you doing here? I don't know what you're doing here. You say it's Michael's truck. That's what you told me. It's Michael's truck. I just wanted Michael to get his truck back, right? Michael did not get his truck back because he didn't pay the phone bill. So what are you doing here?
I am here because I initially was just wanting to go back from where she took the truck that she wasn't supposed to have in her possession because it wasn't her truck to take.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There was numerous times that he had offered to pay a payment plan, and she refused it because her husband had become angry, so she had to turn around and sell it.
She just didn't keep her into the bargain. I helped her when she was down and out, and then she turned her back and stabbed me in the back.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Foshi, step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Valerie Foshi is suing her mother, 44-year-old massage therapist Deborah Foshi, for a series of unpaid loans and car payments.
Miss Foshi, you can stand up, sir. The defendants are your parents.
Yes, they are.
According to your complaint, you and your husband moved into your parents' home sometime in 1998.
Yes.
And you moved into their home, according to your parents, so that you could save some money, so that you could set up your own nest.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So your parents were helping you out.
Yes, they were.
According to you, sometime more recently, while you were still living there, your parents asked you for 2 loans, one for $300 at one point and one for $400.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that forms part of your lawsuit because you say that they haven't paid you back.
Right.
And the second part of your lawsuit is that at some point, also in 1998, you and your parents bought a car together,
Mm-hmm.
but that for periods of time, they drove the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paying the car note.
Yes, I was.
And you want them to pay for the months that they drove the car.
They never paid a payment at all.
Okay, so that's what this lawsuit is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start with the 2 loans. When was the first time that your parents asked you for money?
On the 31st of December in 1999, they borrowed $400.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that.
They had went and they spent their money on things other than their bills, and they just blew it, and they needed money to pay their house note.
So who did you have a discussion with?
My father.
What did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
He said, desperate times call for desperate measures. We blew our money. We need some to cover the house note.
And
Can
what
I
did
borrow
you-
it from you? And I said, yes, you can. Go get it out of the bank.
He used the word borrow.
Yes.
And when was the second time that you loaned money to your parents?
On 23rd of May this year,
Yes?
and he borrowed $300.
Tell me about that.
They just needed money for bills.
No, tell me what they said to you. Who did you speak to, your mother or your father?
I spoke with my mother.
What did she say to you?
She said we blew our money again on the casinos. Can I borrow some money to pay my bills? I said, how much do you need? She said, $300. I said, okay, go get it out of the bank. And this happened several times. I mean, they borrowed, over $1,600 from me in cash out of my bank account.
Okay, let me see what you have.
I have them highlighted for you.
You don't seem to deny that you, at least with regard to the $700, the $300 and the $400, that you did take that from your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Had you spent your money for your household bills on something else?
Well, that is not exactly what happened. That's her perception, I'm assuming. My husband works on commission. There's no business, there's no pay. Sometimes it's gravy, great pay, sometimes it's not. We got behind in our bills and paying them, and her dad and I went to her the first time. They were putting their check in the bank, saving it. To me, that's what family's for. If
No,
family's
but what
in
did you
need-
say to them?
We asked them if they could help us catch up our house note. She said just what she said, sure, go get it out of the bank.
So the word that you recall is catch up, not borrow.
I don't think I said borrow at all, no.
Did you, sir?
No, ma'am.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Do you remember the other money that you withdrew from her account?
Judge Judy, we withdrew money from her account on several occasions. We needed money. I never thought that this amount of money would ever lead us to this situation. We had taken care of her, and I mean, that's not big proud me taking care of her. That's my mother's job, is to take care of her, and I was
Right.
proud to do it. But we've always been there for each other anytime we needed each other.
Well, I've never
Any of
turned
us.
her down, ever, ever. If she ever needed money, I always gave. They needed my car for 18 months. They needed a car. That's more than I've ever drove it. I gave, and I gave, and I gave. And now I need back.
Go ahead.
And then they charged money on my credit card also.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the circumstances surrounding her asking you for the credit
They
card.
just didn't have the money, and they wanted to, some people got married at church, so she gave them both $40 gift certificates for JCPenney's, and she charged it on my card. And
did she? Well, tell me about the discussion.
She said, may I use your card? I said, yes. You need to pay me back when the bill comes in. Never paid it back.
You were living there rent-free for
Yes.
2 years.
It's
You
not
know-
that we didn't offer. We offered to pay.
I understand.
Okay.
So it would be sort of logical if you offered to pay and they said no, so they were good people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For them, if they really needed money, to say, could you help us out paying for our note?
If that's what they would have said, that would have been fine, but they said, can we borrow this money?
Okay, well, I have to agree with you that that's what was said because neither your mother or your father has a clear recollection.
Well-
Neither one of them were able to say to me that they did not say borrow.
Well, they did say borrow because they made a payment back.
Did they?
Yes, they paid me $178 back on the debt that they owed.
Okay. What about this bill for the credit card, that $80? Did you, in fact, use her credit card for $80 worth of
Yes, I did. The credit card is in our joint names, and I needed to use it. Judge Judy, we have had this thing going for, I don't know how long. Put it on my account. Just put it on my account.
Okay. Well, I guess your daughter really felt at some point that she wanted to do some sort of payback. I'm going to get to the reasons behind it in a second. However, let's get to the car. When you purchased this car in 1978,
I wasn't born.
excuse me, 1998. Sorry. You don't have to rub it in that you weren't born in 1978.
Oh, sorry.
I understand you weren't born in 1978. What was the agreement? It was your car.
It was my car. He co-signed for it.
And how did it come about that they used the car?
They had several cars. They all broke down. I let them use my car.
Was there-
They said, we'll keep it up. We'll take care of it. We'll keep it up, is what they said. I assumed, and I guess I shouldn't assume that that meant they'll take care of the note. They put gas in it. Did they mean for me to put gas in it also? No.
No, well, then Ms. Fauché, there was no agreement for them to pay the note.
I asked them, you can have this car, take care of it, keep it up.
Well, keep it
Pay
up
the
is
note.
not... Listen, no, you didn't say pay the note.
That they knew that that's what I meant.
No, no, no. I
I'm
don't
just
believe
supposed to
that-
supply them with a car because I'm going to supply them with a car.
Because evidently you didn't need that car at the time that they did. Just like you needed a place to live with your husband so that you could save up and have a little bit of money so that you'd have your own nest egg.
They're my parents. I love my parents. And
Good, then what are you doing here? Then that's my question. What are you doing here? It's very unfortunate that you're here, but I cannot say with any real confidence that they don't owe you $1,222 because $1,400 they acknowledge they withdrew from the account. You clearly state that this money was borrowed from you. They did return $178 to your account.
what about using my credit card?
And the $80. $1,302.
And my car's broke down now. It's been broke down for a month.
That's your problem.
I wasn't driving it.
That's your problem.
So for
you had
18
no agreement with them. If it's broken down, was it returned to you?
No, it's still at his work, broke down at his work. And I'm still making payments on it.
I assume, sir, that if you're using the car and if it is not drivable, you will fix it.
That's correct.
Well, then just do it. She's not going to get paid for it.
It's been broken down
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount as indicated, $1,302. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Contractor Wayne McWaters is suing 47-year-old matchmaker Terry Gibbons for not providing a satisfactory date.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yes, this is case number 489 on the calendar in the matter of McWaters versus Gibbons. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. McWaters, the defendant runs a dating service,
Yes, she does.
and you signed on with the defendant's dating service. According to your complaint, you had one phone contact with someone arranged by the defendant's dating service. You were unhappy with that phone call, and you want a refund of the $1,500 that you paid pursuant to your contract with her. That's what the case is about.
Well, yeah, it goes much deeper than that, though.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you get deeper, but that's generally what you want. You want your money back because you didn't like the first contact that you had.
No, that isn't the real reason why I want my money back. It was I gave her a specific criteria. That was the point of me going to the dating service. I wanted to match somebody who had been through the same experiences in life that I have been through. Kind of the same mindset, if you will. I'm 40 years old. I understand things a certain way in life, and I would like somebody in my life that understands things the same way.
Okay, let me stop you for a minute. We have to do this in my orderly fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to her service, and you had a discussion.
Yes,
And I assume as part of the discussion you told her who you were looking for.
exactly.
And that's what you had started to tell me before.
Right,
Certain criteria that you had, which is
Yeah.
perfectly reasonable.
right.
What did you tell her?
I told her that I was looking for a woman who had been in a long-term relationship, married. I was very specific about that. Somebody who had been married for a long term. I specifically told her around 10 years, somebody who had a committed relationship. Also somebody who didn't have the live-to-work philosophy, somebody who worked to live, somebody who liked to have fun in life. My ex-wife liked to work quite a bit, quite the business person. And I like to have a good time in life. I was very specific on meeting somebody who didn't have their own business and had been in a long-term marriage, a committed relationship.
Okay. And she said she understood that, and then I assume she said we will.
Well, not only did she say she understood it, she said she had several people off the top of her head that she knew that she could refer me to.
So you signed on.
Yes.
May I see a copy of the contract you signed?
This is the judge's copy of all of that.
I'm sure you both have a copy.
I have I have a couple different things here.
His. Hers.
I have one more paper that you might find interesting.
Just one second. Okay. I'm looking at the qualities or characteristics you especially want in a match. Knows who she is, what she wants, takes care of her grooming, health, thinking about life, and your role in it. Does that sound right?
My main priority, and I was very emphatic about this when I spoke to her, is somebody who's been through, which is very important to me, a marriage for a long period of time, who understands what commitment is and understands what working things out
So
is.
let's say that's what you told her, because this
Okay.
whole thing revolves around the following. You signed a contract,
Right.
and your contract clearly states, we admonish you not to refuse an introduction to a member who meets your original specifications or mutually agreed modifications. Such refusal may result in reducing your number of matches.
Right.
Okay?
And I'll bring this back to this point that that's not the issue. The issue is the phone call after meeting the person. I can understand that not everything works out.
So what happened? Tell me what happened about the first match. Was
Well, the
that by
first match
phone?
was I called the girl up on the phone, seemed like a very nice girl. I asked her if she had been in any long-term relationships, asked her specifically if she had been married. She said no. I asked her if what she did for work. She had her own business. Again, seemed like a very nice girl. But through having relationships in my life, I understand you learn a lot by having a long-term relationship. I had been very specific with Terry on what I wanted, and this was across the board, 180 degrees from somebody that I wanted to date. I was not angry about it. I wasn't rude to the girl at all on the phone. In fact, I tried to call her a couple of times, and she wasn't there when she said she was going to be there when I called her. And this is one of the things that you learn by having a relationship is when somebody says they're going to call, you are
Maybe
there.
she didn't like your questions because she, too, clearly wanted to meet somebody.
Absolutely.
So it would seem logical to conclude that if you made a time to call her and she wasn't there, she didn't want to speak to you. And if she didn't want to speak
Well, maybe
to you...
that's your logical conclusion.
No,
My logical conclusion...
It's a logical conclusion.
No, it isn't.
Let me tell you why, Mr. McWaters. It's a logical woman's conclusion. I want you to trust me on that one. If a woman speaks to a man on the phone and he sounds interesting and she has signed up for a service, so she's really open to meeting people, and if he says, I'm going to call at 7 o'clock at night, she's sitting at the phone at 6:30 just in case he's a little early.
Well, there are a lot of people out there in this world that have great intentions that don't follow through on those intentions.
You know, there's a male part of the brain and there's a female part of the brain. I want you to trust me. They're not the same.
Okay.
A woman will be there at 6:30 to get that. Let all the women raise your hands. Anybody disagree with that they would be there at 6:30 waiting for that phone call? Now, a guy, on the other hand, if he starts to watch something at his buddy's house, like the Discovery Channel or a football game or something, they look at his watch and say, gee, it's 10 after 7. I was supposed to be home at 7 o'clock. A woman? Never. Doesn't happen. So if she wasn't there when she was supposed to get your phone call, sir, it's not because she wasn't married before. It was because there was something in the conversation that she had with you that suggested that this was not going to be a match. In any event, after you tried to call this woman several times again, you called her. And tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I called her and left a message on her machine first that I was surprised that she set me up with this woman that didn't fit the criteria that I had told her about, to give me a call back so we could talk about it. 2 days went by. I never received a call back. I called her again and started questioning her about the girl and how I ended up getting set up with this person. After being extremely direct with her inside the office on what I wanted.
Okay, you keep saying that. If you don't think I got the message, I got the message. Tell me what she said to you that turned you off.
What she said was, you're an extremely rude person. And she said it to me 3 times, and I said, how am I being rude? I'm speaking to you direct. I'm not yelling at you, and I'm not swearing at you. But yet you're calling me a rude person. And she said, well, it's just the way you're questioning me. You're being very rude. And I said, well, wait a minute, we're crossing a line here. This is getting kind of dangerous because you're calling me a rude person. This is scaring me because you've got $1,500 of my money. And if you're going to call me a rude person, then that means setting me up with somebody is now going to fall into the questionable stage, if you will. And with that, she said, well, the way you're talking to me now, I would be hard-pressed to set you up with anybody.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Wayne McWaters says matchmaker Terry Gibbons was given specific criteria for the women he wanted to date. Wayne claims he was given the complete opposite.
Now, Ms. Gibbons, tell me about the conversation.
Perhaps Mr. McWaters didn't mean to be rude to me, but he was being very sharp and very, why didn't you give me what I asked for and so forth. He didn't tell me at the time that he wanted somebody absolutely who'd been married. He did say he wanted somebody who'd been in a relationship. The match had been in a relationship. She had lived with somebody for 3 years.
I want to know about the conversation that
Okay,
you
what
had.
I said to him was, if you're rude to me, it makes it hard for me to convince somebody else to meet you. I never said I wouldn't try to match him or anything.
No, he
and I
didn't say
would.
you said that.
But I did tell him that if he was being rude to me, it was going to be hard for me to tell somebody else he was a gentleman. So I said, please treat me nicely, and I'll certainly be able to do a better job of matching you. And that was the extent of it, and I never expected that to result in him thinking I wouldn't match him. I have 2 other matches for him right now.
I would
But
not
it's-
be here
if
today
somebody
if she
is-
did not say to me at that time, and let me make this real clear, if she did not say to me those words, I would be hard-pressed to match you up with anybody. And once, this isn't like a regular business transaction.
Just a second.
Yeah,
I believe that.
right.
I believe that. I believe that that's what got you, and that's what's going to get you out of this contract. I do believe, Ms. Gibbons, that you did say to him, if you can continue to use that kind of tone with me, I'm going to be hard-pressed to introduce you to anybody.
No, what I said was I would be hard-pressed to convince somebody that he was a gentleman.
Well, if you would be hard-pressed to convince someone that he was a gentleman, that he's not going to get his $1,500 worth.
But my daughter does the matchmaking, the actual contact and so forth. She's
Sit down.
here. And she's perfectly willing to work with him, and she's the one who usually does those connections anyway.
Ms. Gibbons, how long have you been in business?
I've been doing this for over 25 years.
Okay. If you've been doing it for a long time, occasionally, I assume, you run across somebody that you know you're going to have difficulty with.
I pride myself on having worked those things through. And yes, I have run into that before, and I've usually worked it through with the person.
You're not going to work it through with Mr. McWaters. I think he's probably making a mistake. But it seems to me the only thing that you did thus far was give him a phone number to call, one person.
Actually, we don't just hand somebody a phone number. We call the lady, we tell her all about the
I
gentleman.
understand that. He's not going to get all his money back. But it seems to be good practice that you say, listen, I don't want to deal with you. You're being rude to me on the phone. You'd be rude to other people. I don't want to introduce somebody who is rude. You don't want to fool any of your ladies, do you? No. And if you have interaction with a client who appears to be rude, strong-headed, not a gentleman, you wouldn't want to introduce him to some woman who has given you $1,500 to find her a gentlemanly person, right?
We actually offer counseling for that, but yes, essentially that's true.
Let me explain something to you, Ms. Gibbons. He's 40. He's cooked. Finished. So, Mr. McWaters, hey, Mr. McWaters, I think you're probably making a mistake. She doesn't seem like one of these fly-by-night operations. But I think that that one phrase, that you would be hard-pressed to tell any of her people that you were a gentleman, was a breach of your agreement.
Absolutely.
However, you did accept some service from her.
One phone call.
Well, one phone call, but that one phone call involved some work on her part. I mean, that is a service. She's in the service business, right? One other thing, Mr. McWaters. Sometimes people don't necessarily have to have a long-term marriage in order to be a suitable mate. You're 40.
Oh, I understand that. But,
So you have to
but
be
as you
more
get
flexible.
older, you tend to play the odds, if you will. And the odds tell you that you want to find somebody who's had the same experience as you in life. That way you're going to be closer to a connection, if you will.
You got to loosen up a little bit, sir.
Okay.
Open yourself up a little bit. You look like a lovely man. Be a little more flexible,
Thank you.
okay? I'm directing that the defendant return $1,300 to you of your initial $1,500 fee, so the judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm a bit disappointed I didn't have a chance to make things work out with Mr. McWaters. I believe I could have.
Experiences are the best part of life, and jump out there and get your feet wet.
And now the next case.
All parties on McQueen versus Arsenault. Step forward, please.
44-year-old flight attendant Ashley McQueen is suing 34-year-old advertising executive Jennifer Arsenault for the cost of 2 airline tickets. Jennifer says Ashley's lawsuit is bogus.
All right, this case is a little convoluted, but let me see if I can piece together what I do understand. Miss McQueen, you met the defendant when you went for an interview about taking some photographs of you and a photo shoot. You got into a discussion with the defendant. According to you, after some discussion of her personal life, you agreed, since you work for the airlines and get some of these companion tickets, to give her these companion tickets. It is your claim that there was cost involved, direct cost to you, and you want her to be responsible for the direct cost, what you actually paid for those tickets. The defendant says that, as far as she's concerned, those vouchers were a gift to her. Okay, what were you doing at this interview?
Okay, I met with the defendant. We had the interview at this agency. During our interview, the defendant did get into her personal life. She cried. I told her at the time, when she asked if I had access to discounted tickets, I would let her know. So a couple days had passed. I then called and left a message. She had already gone to New York to pick up her son. She got the message, called me from New York, and said, yes, I could use the companion tickets to get my son and I back to Denver, and maybe we can do your composite, which is like a business card with your photos. So I FedExed the tickets to her. She returned to Denver using the tickets. I called. She said they would not credit my visa, the $350 that I had charged the day that I met with her, because I did charge for the photo shoot.
You did have a photo session.
I never had the photo session. I paid for a photo session.
But you never had it?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
So when the defendant said, well, we cannot credit your visa, then I called back, spoke to her boss, and her boss said he
Tell
was
me
very...
what her boss said.
Okay.
Were you ultimately credited for this $350?
Yes, I was.
All right. So that's out. Let's get back to the tickets.
Okay. She, was fired. She called and said, I've been fired from my job. I will pay you for the tickets.
How much did it actually cost you? I assume you have the bill there.
I do, and I have, for the tickets themselves, were $141.60.
For all of them?
For all, yes, all.
It's a bargain.
4.
Okay. You want to explain to me why you're suing for $734.44?
I am suing her for the lowest fare that it would have cost her to actually buy a ticket, just from the aggravation of 8 months trying to find her.
You don't get that.
Okay.
That's an interesting theory. But I reject it. Your out-of-pocket expenses are $141.60.
Well, not completely out of pocket, because I had to FedEx the tickets to her.
How much did that cost?
That was $6.24.
Okay, what else?
Certified mail, $3.20.
Okay. $147.84. Go.
Okay, hello, Your Honor. First of all, when Ms. McQueen came into the office, I did interview her, and actually we had a nice chat. We got along good.
I'm not interested.
Okay, I don't blame you. I understand.
Could you put that
I didn't
down?
ask her for the tickets, and she had called the secretary and told her that she did have tickets available for me. My office did, in fact, reimburse her the complete $350 for the photo shoot. Which,
she didn't take a photo shoot.
Right, but we reimbursed her for that amount, which we don't normally reimburse.
Who
anyone.
cares?
Okay. The misunderstanding was between composite cards and a photo shoot. I said I would pay for her composite cards, which are $250.
She didn't have a photo shoot. She didn't have composite cards.
But this
they
is
gave her
prior.
back,
This is the
they gave her
agreement.
back her money.
We gave her back her money.
Before.
And I don't argue.
No, it didn't come out of your pocket. The company gave back the money.
Well, actually, the composite cards were going to come out of my pocket.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay. They gave her back her money because there was no photo shoot, which would be used for the cards.
Right.
But the
Okay, exactly. That's irrelevant.
I'm speaking. But the $350 you didn't pay, the company reimbursed her, decided that they didn't want any aggravation, they didn't want any grief. Here's your $350 back. You didn't take pictures. We didn't expend any time. Let's get to the airline tickets.
And I'm not in disagreement with that, with the $141.60. It was the $787 that I didn't feel I owed her, especially because of the fact that she harassed me, called my office several times. The entire situation was
Well, did you ever say to her?
It was a misunderstanding.
Did you ever say to her, I'm prepared to give you the $141.60?
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
When did you say that to her?
Oh, gosh, shortly after, probably a couple months after.
Well, what'd you wait so long for?
I didn't even have a way to get a hold of her for a long time. I was back in New York for a while.
All right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $147.84, which covers your overnighting the tickets. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.